Oh, yeah. We are going live. We are live. Welcome to the show, everybody. How was your weekend? I hope you guys had an incredible weekend, and I hope you have an incredible week planned. Maybe some family dinner, maybe foregoing what they tell you you can or cannot do as far as gathering with said family. I know I'm really excited this Friday. I'm going to my sister's house, and I get to spend it with her new family, with her husband and my nieces and nephews, who are awesome. I actually had all of my nieces and nephews over last week. That's why I didn't have a show on Friday. Apologies for that. Um, Everyone was here, and I just wanted to spend my time with them. I travel a lot. I don't live in the same area as both of my sisters, who also live in different areas. So it was nice to have all eight. That's right, eight of my nieces and nephews in the same place. It was a really wonderful time, and and even my mom. My mom was so excited because this was the first time all of her grandchildren were in the same house at the same time. Well, her house. I actually don't know if they've probably been together, but in my mom's house for like a Christmas gathering. And then we had a surprise. My uncle actually, no one knew he was coming by. So my aunt and uncle stopped by, and that was really awesome as well. But anyway, I hope you guys have some wonderful week planned. Today, I'm really excited. I have an awesome guest to start the week, actual justice warrior. Now we've actually met, and I'm really excited to have him on the show and hear from him. Welcome to the show, Sean. How you doing?
Yeah, thank you for having me. And this is the
It
debut of my glasses. They just came in today.
Look at that. You got some new glasses. You know what? Let's get a look at these glasses here.
Yeah.
I
It's
like them. They make you look smart.
yes, I
You
feel
need
very smart wearing them. And I can see.
you needed that. You needed that extra little oomph, just to drive it home. Not only do you have really good points, but when you have the glasses, they're like, wow, these are really good points. And it's coming from this seemingly smart guy. So we can listen to him. So
Maybe.
for those who don't know, Sean has a web or a YouTube show similar to mine. I mean, you tend to get a little more you tend to be a little more spicy, but you also always bring receipts, and it's really good. And I want to we'll get into that. Down below you can actually check out his YouTube channel and his Twitter page. Is that good? You want me to add anything else to the description?
I have Instagram at Actual Justice.
Okay,
I started
that's
something new.
I will add that immediately.
I
And I
have a
apologize.
goal of 10,000 Instagram followers. And it's
All right.
surprisingly hard because I'm not a pretty young woman.
That's a shame, isn't it? Well, you could just get a wig, maybe, and a push-up bra. I mean, it is 2021, right? I mean, it just feels like anything's possible at this point.
I got to start the transition on the Instagram.
Actual justice. There it is. All right, I found it. I'm gonna put your Instagram down in the description below. So you know what? Why don't you? Well, let's start with how the heck did you start YouTubing, and like why did that happen? Like what led you to starting a YouTube channel?
So, I mean, I'm one of those people that wanted to do YouTube for a long time, but I didn't have
Okay.
the technical know-how. So when
Mm,
I was in college, I had an option to, because I majored in criminal justice, to
okay.
earn my master's and bachelor's degree at the same time,
Mm.
or I could waste my time and take a video editing course. Long story short, I took the video editing course, and after my post-college job totally busted on me, like they weren't
Yeah.
paying me, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot, see what happens, and just cover the topics that I'm interested in, and hopefully people will be interested in what I'm interested in.
It seems like that. I mean, and people. I mean, you're doing your rounds. You were on Timcast, right? You were on.
Yes.
You Are Here, or did you go on You Are Here when you were down in Texas? I
Yeah,
know.
I was on the day
Right.
before we met.
Oh, you were on the day before, and then we did Slightly Offensive the next day. That was a lot of fun. That was actually a lot of fun. If you guys missed that, we when I was in Texas doing You Are Here, we were both on the Slightly Offensive show with Elijah Schaefer and Savannah Hernandez, and we had some fun, didn't we? We had some
Yes.
fun.
And the slightly offensive is always a weird show. I've done it twice,
Yeah.
and they cannot prepare you for what you're about to see because they give you a paper for those of you
I
who
know.
want to be inside baseball that
Yeah.
tells you like what videos are going to play, but in text. and
Yeah.
then you watch them and you're like, oh my god.
This is
So
way different.
so like both episodes, it's like they play the video and then they cut to your face and you're like,
What did I
uh
just watch?
exactly.
Yeah, Elijah's great. So yeah, you have some spicy takes on life. I mean, I don't even want to say spicy. It's not spicy nowadays is almost just cutting across the narrative and going, this is BS. And then all of a sudden you're a spicy YouTuber just because you're speaking your mind. And I like that about the people that are out there making videos and really speaking their mind and really kind of letting loose and going, this is crap. Like look at this hypocrisy. And you do that very well.
Yeah.
Have you
Thank you.
always been everyone's got their red pill story. And I don't know your history. Did you have like an awakening or were you always kind of aware of, the world?
I'm almost a bit jealous of everybody's like how I left the left story and all that. When I
Mhm.
was like 19, I got really into Ron Paul and
Oh,
like a
that
bunch of
ex that explains a lot.
conspiracies as well.
Okay.
Like, and back then on political YouTube, there was like 5 political YouTube channels, and I watched all of them.
Okay.
And one of them was the Young Turks, so that's why I make a lot of Young Turks
Ugh.
references. Been boiling up for over a decade. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Alex Jones was another one back in the day. So I
Mm,
mean, I have like a soft spot in my heart for that man. So
yeah.
it hurts me to see him hurting.
I mean, he's a national treasure, let's be honest.
Yeah,
It's Alex
yes,
Jones. Come on.
he's fantastic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he is.
And it was like T.J. Kirk, the Amazing Atheist,
Mhm.
Thunderfoot, and Lee Doran. This was like before Crowders when I started watching political YouTube, and
Okay,
then
I
that
don't
was
know
it.
those 3.
There was nobody else.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So what point did you go, you know what? So after I don't know if you got fired or you stopped working at this job that didn't, your
Uh,
post-college job, and you just decided to do a YouTube show.
Yeah, I didn't get fired. So
Okay.
I was working like as a freelancer,
Okay.
and anybody who's worked freelance knows that when payment issues crop up, you're gonna have problems. So at a certain point, I was like, okay, I haven't been paid in 3 months. I'm going into debt to get to work and live my life. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not taking any more assignments from you unless you pay me. And I worked for a university, so they sent me a very corporate friendly university type of email where
Oh,
they're like,
no.
"Oh, well, thank you so much. We hope you're successful on your journey and all this stuff." And I was like, "But I want my money."
Yeah. You
So
still owe me
after
3
that,
months.
yeah, after that, I decided I didn't want to work for anybody else. So I
Mm.
figured I'd try YouTube for a year, and if not, I'd get a regular job.
Right. Well, I could tell you from my own personal experience, working for yourself is absolutely the best way to go. I don't answer to anyone. Honestly, that's a lie. Actually, I answer to my viewers, right? That my chat, like those are the people that that hold me accountable, that I am here for. So, but as far as like anyone being above me, it's great. I love it. Like Friday, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna spend the time with my family, and I'm not gonna go live today. So I did that, and it was great being able to just do that on the fly. How long have
And
you been a YouTuber?
for about 5 years, and I'm gonna say you do actually have a nice chat. I
Don't
came
I?
in when you're doing a show with Mikey Harlow, like trying to
Oh
trying to
man.
like antagonize. I like to like start a fire in the chat and then leave.
Yeah.
And they were not biting on it. They're like, "This is a classy establishment, sir. Like you're not welcome."
chat, chat. You guys are the best, and that was a delicate episode too. Because Mikey Harlow and Carlin had this whole thing that I learned a lot actually before we went live that day about the stuff that she did, and then we actually discussed some stuff. And after the show, we were talking for a while about more things that you guys don't even know about. That just really reiterated the fact that I've made the right choice.
I would say Mikey sells himself short because he's like, "Oh, I bought into a lot of that stuff." I
Yeah.
was with Mikey during some of the stuff that he was told, and
Uh-huh.
I'm like, and I would be like, "Mike, do you believe that?" And he's like, "She's my friend," which is code for I don't believe that, but I don't want to say anything. So
Yeah.
Mike is more skeptical than he gives himself credit for.
Yeah, it's testament to his character too, because he really is positive person, right? I feel like my general idea is to gravitate towards positivity. I always want to see the positive side of things, and for him to say that, well, she's my friend, it's like, yeah, I know she's BSing me, but I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt because she's my friend, and I want my friends to be successful and
Yeah.
whatnot. So it is kind of a shame. I don't want to like derail and start talking about Carlin, but thank you for joining in, and thank you for acknowledging my epic chat. That's right, chat. You guys are incredible. How's your chat? What's going on with your chat? You got a good chat over there?
No,
Are they spicy?
my chatter are all like savage animals. They're like untrained. They're bad people.
Yeah,
And, you know what it is? I tell my chat, one of my least favorite things is like when you do a podcast, so like you're more interactive,
yeah,
but
yeah,
there's like people who do videos like more like I do. And
yeah.
you make the video in advance, you put it out there, and then there's comments, you reply to the comments. And I actually do reply to the comments. So a lot of it is me hamming it up. But I
Mhm.
always like to say the show is not a conversation, it's a show.
Right.
Because everybody on YouTube, it's like they're trained to say, like Philip DeFranco is my go-to example. He's like, it's not just a show, it's a conversation. So
Oh
I always say
goodness.
that. So they'll like taunt me. They're like, oh, you're in the live chat. They're like, is this a conversation all of a sudden? Like, so they
Uh-oh.
always pick at me for every little like thing that I say, and I appreciate them for that. I breed a chat of sarcastic monsters.
I like having conversations. I think that is how we're gonna get out of this.
Yeah.
Of course, this being the absolute clown world that we're living in, um, having conversations, having civil conversations, learning how to not let emotions bubble over, and then all of a sudden, that's what people are focused on, the anger, instead of the conversation core, which is how do we get out of being so divided? I just saw a tweet. Let me just show this. For example, this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. It's absolutely insane. Let me just close that down. Let me share this screen. When I saw this, I was like, man, this is what they wanted. This is exactly the division that they wanted. Let me just go over here. All right, I'm not going to read the swear words, but this is from Gay Guy Candle Company. All right, and it's a candle that says, "If you're not vaccinated, get the f out of my house." And this person writes, "Unless you have a legitimate medical reason, if you are not vaccinated, I don't want to see you, talk to you, work with you, socialize with you, or know you. It's enough. Your personal freedom," in quotes, of course, "is holding the rest of us hostage. It's selfish and stupid." I mean, it is the race war. It is the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, which uh, we don't have to get into those details because we all know that that's absolutely a ridiculous notion that there's any difference. Anna Navarro, Cardenas, I don't even know who that person is.
The CNN alleged Republican, I like to call her.
Is that right? The Republican on CNN to represent all sides. Sure.
Yeah.
CNN, bunch of pedos.
It is crazy with the whole that we're still doing the whole vaccine like division and all that,
Hmm.
because I'm not somebody who's actually like super skeptical of the vaccine. Like a lot of people are like, oh, it got approved way too fast, and I'm like, the people who work at pharmaceutical companies are way smarter than the people who work in the government. And like
Okay.
I'm a libertarian, so like I've been seeing story after story for years about how the FDA is holding back like drugs that could save people due to their long approval process. So I was never like, this vaccine, there's something off about it. But
Okay.
I just didn't want the restrictions. But they've redefined what an anti vaxxer is. So, like, I
Yes,
would
they
be in
have.
the camp of an anti vaxxer because I'm like, you don't have to mandate it.
That's
Because I'm
true.
like, it's supposed to lessen and prevent you from getting it. Like, other people having it is not a big deal, or it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and on Twitter, they changed their terms of service that if you were to claim that vaccinated people can still spread the virus, you would get banned. And that was like that for a week. And they banned so many people. There was like a mass banning for a week. And then
Yeah.
at the end of the week, they actually changed the definition, or they changed the terms of service from saying you could spread the virus to you can spread the vaccine. So they actually put the terms of service in, banned a bunch of people that were saying, hey, if you are vaccinated, you can still spread the virus, which is true, according to the CDC, not me. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not advocating for anything at all. I'm just simply saying, I mean, Fauci came out and said it. So all hail Fauci, like he's the supreme leader of science. So if he said it, I'm just
Lord Fauci.
Lord Fauci. I'm just repeating what Lord Fauci said. All right. So, and then they changed it back, and it's like, wow, they really just want to get rid of anyone who, is really going against that narrative. And this division, it's like that statement, it's like, but you can still get it. You can still pass it along. So what's the difference? And let me ask you a question, Sean. Have you ever heard of a polio breakthrough case? Just curious.
No, I haven't.
I wonder if there's ever been a polio breakthrough case. And if not, why? Why wouldn't there be? What?
Well,
I mean,
I know that when they originally gave out the polio vaccine, which
Yeah.
did take a long time to
right,
develop,
it did.
they infected a bunch of kids on accident, like 30,000 of them or whatever. And like, ultimately the polio vaccine in the long run is one of the greatest achievements in human history. I mean, no kid gets polio, like,
Right.
which is great.
Yeah.
But like, they bumbled it, and I would like to believe that now in the modern era we have better technology, better testing, better etc. But
Right.
things can go wrong with any type of medicine, and you can find out that things go wrong years later.
It's true. I think it
but
was like 50 years that they spent on the polio vaccine. I may be wrong. Don't quote me. But I thought it was a long stretch of time before when they started to try to really figure it out, and when they actually had a working, safe vaccine
right.
at the end of the road. They were like, all right, finally, this is the one. It's not giving kids polio. It's not killing people. Now we can give it to people.
And like the kids element does matter. So I was talking on a panel with Jack Pozovic,
Okay.
and he and I both agreed on the panel, and like the lefty was Destiny, and he was like surprised, I guess, that if this was 10 times as deadly or like really deadly for children,
Mhm.
then we might be closer to that position than we are right now. It's just that like you have to have like proper risk assessment for all these different things. Like the
Agreed.
reason we flipped out over polio, smallpox, MERS, like all these diseases that affect children is because in general you're not allowed to kill your children. So like that's why we're worried about that. But like when we're talking about something that's really for adults
Yeah.
and like their safety, you should be allowed to make choices, even if they're considered bad choices by our Lord and Savior Anthony Fauci.
Yeah.
That like improve in that risk, assess your own risk.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's this weird thing where I'm sure you've seen that hospitalization survey where something like 70% of Democrats think your hospitalization rate is between or is above 30% or above 50%.
Okay.
Like it's
I
people,
haven't seen that. No.
Oh, so they ask people, if you get it, what's your chance of being hospitalized? And
Mhm.
something like 50% of Democrats think it's above 50%.
Wow.
Like just general population. And then like 30 something percent or 30 something percent of them think it's above 29%. So it's like 80% of the Democratic voters think you have an 80% chance of going to the hospital if you get this. I'm sorry, at least a 30% chance of going to the hospital if you get this thing. And it's just like, that's not the case.
Do you know
Like,
the actual number? Like, what is the actual percent if you get it?
if for going to the hospital, it's between 1 and 5%. Like, and by the way,
Wow.
even Bill Maher has done this, and this also includes when people go to the hospital and they don't really need to because they're worried because they think based on the media that they have the worst thing humanly possible, but it's still 1 to 5.
Do you mind asking, or if I ask you, have you caught it? Have you gotten it and
Right.
gotten through it?
Now, I haven't caught it that I know of, like,
That you
so.
know of. Right, because some people don't even get symptoms at all. I mean, I just took 2 weeks off last month, well, earlier in the month, because I tested positive. But of course, it was a PCR test, I believe anyway, that I took. I went to like, a clinic and I tested positive. I just had a really bad flu feeling, had a really bad headache, really achy, really, really tired, and I lost my taste. So I was like, yeah, I've got it. And I tested positive. But then of course the CDC withdraws their support for PCR tests and saying that this is a thing here. I'm gonna read it here. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention will no longer recognize PCR tests as valid methods of diagnosing COVID-19 by the end of this year. So they're stopping it. They announced it on its website that it'll be withdrawing its standing request for the FDA to grant emergency use authorization for PCR tests um, because it's no longer valid diagnosis methods for COVID-19. Does that mean it never was? Does that mean we don't know actually what the numbers were? What does that mean? That's crazy. This is this is what the tests have. All the tests have been our PCR tests. Most of them, aren't they?
I would think that's at least the most popular. We're not talking about the antibody ones and any of
Right.
that.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
I think this is really clever because if you get rid of it at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
then like we see how bad it was under the orange ban and the year after the orange ban with the after effects of the orange ban. Then you get rid of that,
Ah,
you switch to a test with a lower hit rate or lower, accidental hit rate, and all of a sudden, like Joe Biden, he
Joe
done
Biden, dude,
COVID.
saved it up.
Well,
Saved the country. Opened the economy up. Record job growth, which is so embarrassing, right? You
I,
see his tweets. I mean, this guy, man. Let's talk Joe Biden for a little bit, shall we?
yeah.
Why don't give me your opinion on Joseph Biden? Let me hear your opinion. Go ahead.
So I have a bit of like I'm gonna say the things that I like about Joe Biden is that he proved me right once.
Okay. Oh,
And
I want to hear that story.
so if you remember when before he announced, but like everybody was starting to get into the race, like Beto O'Rourke was in the race and all that,
Hmm.
people were picking their candidates to go.
Okay.
And like I know the order of the Democratic primary states, and like if you don't understand the importance of the order, then you can't pick the winner properly. So I was like,
Okay.
listen, after Nevada, South Carolina, and it's all like southern states, and in the southern states in the Democratic primary, the majority of the electorate is black.
Okay.
And I looked at Joe Biden's polling numbers among black voters, and I'm like, and nowhere during the whole primary did he get below 40%. I'm like, Joe Biden's going to win. He's going to turn it around in South Carolina. So video after video covering the debate, I would like carve out a section for like the dislikes from people where I
Hmm.
would say, listen, I know Joe Biden doesn't know how to talk. I know he's bumbling on the stage. I know you think he might not be alive, but he's going to win this primary. I guarantee it. He's going to turn it around in South Carolina. And I took hate from my audience for an entire year. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it comes around to South Carolina and he just blows the doors off of Bernie Sanders. And I'm like,
Told you.
thank you.
Well, you know
So,
what it was, right? They didn't want to lose their black card.
yeah,
They
well,
didn't want to risk it.
but that's like it's like a lot of people have the reason I knew this was going to happen is because I
Mhm.
know why Hillary Clinton actually beat Bernie Sanders, and it was this exact same reason. And if you don't address this, then you can't win. And I appreciate Joseph R. Biden for that 100%.
So what you're telling
And
me is Bernie Sanders should tell all the people of color, the black community, hey, look, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
exactly.
And then boom, he finally will win a primary.
What I should have done though is bet on like in trade when Biden's odds were like -1. Just
Okay.
put 10 grand on it. That's how
Yeah.
certain I was, and then I'd walk away. I've been like Joe Biden for life. Like he personally enriched me. I mean, he's inflating the currency, and they say that the job numbers should be like 5 times what they should be if Joe Biden does nothing, and
Yep.
then he keeps doing things, and then they come out badly.
Yep.
But other than that, like it would have been great for me personally. But yeah, obviously Joe Biden, like he doesn't know how to speak. It's
Nope.
really awkward.
So
But
awkward, man.
I have a controversial opinion, maybe depending on your audience, where I
Go on.
still think Joe Biden is not only going to be alive, but he's running again in 2024.
You think he's gonna make it? Really?
100%. Like these guys.
Hold on. Hold on. Chat. I need to ask you, chat. Who in chat thinks that he's gonna make it to 2024? Either yes, he's gonna make it, or no, he's not. Let me see. I wanna see the overwhelming. Let me. You guys. There's a bunch of people here. Let me know. Do you think he's gonna make it, or do you think he's gonna retire? We'll just put it that way. Do you think he's gonna retire? Whatever happens, however is it gonna? All right, here we go. Yes, no, 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 yes, 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 no, no, no. All right, so all right. Most people are saying no. I don't.
You got to set up those YouTube polls in the chat. That's what I do during my.
Oh, you know what? Let's do it. I've never actually done a poll before. Let's see. Will Joe Biden make it to 2024? Yes or no? Boom.
We're betting on his. We're betting on his life, or whether we'll say make it as in will he run? Right?
Yeah. I'm not. No, it doesn't matter. Whatever. Will he make it to 2020? Yeah, that's a good. Okay, is he gonna run in 2024? Maybe can I alter it? Like, doesn't matter.
Not after the fact. We'll just that's the interpretation. Like make it. Like,
you know what? That's fun. That's fun. I'm cool with it. All right, 74% so far out of 150 votes said no, and I feel like we've got. But you know what? Give me your explanation, because you seem pretty set on this.
So, like, obviously he's an old man, and anything can happen to a man that old. I understand that, right? I'm betting on the fact that he's going to live. He has the doctors and all these people around.
But doctors can't stop him from falling downstairs, though. I mean,
falling upstairs.
Falling upstairs. Excuse me. But imagine if he fell down. My goodness, dude.
But my thing is that people like Joe Biden, they want to be president more than anything. That's why he runs so many times. Like it's their life's mission to hold public office, and the highest public office. So as long as he breathes, as long as he has a heartbeat, as long as there's some minor brainwaves going on up here, he's going to pursue the chance to run for president. That's why I was never in for this. They're going to replace Joe Biden as the candidate once he won the nomination, or any of that nonsense. This man has been running for president since 1988.
It's true.
Like, he's been ready to go. And he's been setting up his run for president since he got in the Senate, which I think was in 1784.
1784, right? That's his words. His words. This is going off his information anyway.
Yes.
My big thing about Joe Biden is like the first right when he got into office, right when he got his congressional seat, someone asked him, what do we do about all of the corruption in government? And his response was, don't be so sure I'm not corrupt. And that was like at the beginning of his career, right? And now we see all the stuff that's come out with his son, him being the big guy. I mean, he's on video basically blackmailing the president of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And gloating about it. Like, yo, I told him I was going to take that money away if he didn't make my problems go away. And it's like, dude, what?
You better fire that prosecutor. I'm going to take the $1 billion back with me.
Yep. It's like, dude, what? This guy. Oh, man.
The Hunter Biden thing is just, it just goes to show how crazy our social media companies were, because had that scenario existed, and I know even today I made a video where I talked about how everybody hates the flip the sides and then look at it the other way. But if Don Jr. would have had a laptop that he dropped off at a repair shop, that would have got there, Twitter would not have implemented their hacked materials policy and banned, I guess the counter equivalent of the New York Post would be the New York Daily News, banned them from Twitter based on them sharing this. This was clearly and obviously a news story. And any other time, even with Joe Biden in a different presidential election cycle against a different opponent, this would have been allowed to make major national news. But they just did not want another Hillary Clinton, James Comey letter situation. So they totally nuked this story. True. And now post-election, we're seeing that not only was that story valid and legit, and the New York Post had the receipts for that reporting, but it's even worse. And even the speculation about Joe Biden's knowledge and involvement, which, by the way, if you don't understand why an energy firm would hire John Kerry's daughter and Joe Biden's son, Like you're not paying attention. So
Hmm.
yeah, it was ridiculous, and everything we've heard subsequently. And I haven't even really gotten into this because it's almost like so obvious that it's not really like I'm not very into the day to day minutia of the presidential election, but
Okay.
like I see it, I see it all, and everything that we've seen has just validated and confirmed this reporting that the Bidens are running basically a pay to play scheme.
True. Yep. It's true. And I mean, and not to mention like the man, disgusting incest. I mean, I was trying to think of like a light way of putting it, but like there is actual credible evidence of Joe Biden doing nasty things with his own family. And
Well,
there's actual proof of Hunter doing it.
I mean, Hunter's even what's public from the jump that Hunter. Oh
Yeah.
my God, Hunter Biden was
Yeah.
having an affair with his brother's wife while she was dying of cancer. Like
Yeah.
even oh, I'm sorry, while his brother Bo
Right.
was dying of brain cancer. It's just like nasty, trashy. It's almost like we've elevated a Springer family to the White House, and we're surprised like at
Yeah.
how gross it is. But that also goes to why I say Joe Biden will definitely be running again in 2024 if he has even half of a heartbeat, is
Yeah.
because you can't run a pay to play scheme unless you have somebody consistently in office. Remember
True.
what happened after Hillary Clinton lost the 2016 election? The very first thing that happened was that the Clinton Foundation shut down because
Hmm.
there's no reason for it anymore. Why are you kicking into Hillary Clinton's organization if she has no access to power anymore?
That's a good point. Do you think she's gonna make an appearance again?
I mean,
There's a
she's
dude. There's a
reading
lot of people that are talking about it.
I
That
imagine because Mitt Romney's running for president again because he's another one of these guys that wants to be president. Imagine a Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush, Hillary Clinton versus Hillary Clinton and
oh my
Liz. I don't
gosh.
know, maybe they'll pick up Liz Cheney. I don't know,
The
like that
memes the
ticket.
memes that would come from their speeches would be glorious.
Oh,
But,
I was horrified when Jeb Bush was running and he had all that money before Trump knocked him out. Best thing
mhm,
Trump ever did was punch Jeb Bush in the face multiple times on that debate stage until he
verbally, yeah,
into irrelevance. But we could legitimately have, especially with Liz Cheney being booted from the Republican Party and her
right,
being in that wing with Jeb Bush, we could legitimately have another Bush Cheney ticket in this country. And then Clinton would be running on the other side of that. That's like such a nightmare. But
yeah.
people
So
love the dynasty families.
so who do you wanna see run for president?
I mean, I think the guy with the best shot is DeSantis. I have a soft spot in my heart for Paul family, so I would love for Rand Paul to run a competent campaign.
Dude, that would be amazing. I would vote for him for sure.
Like he's probably the only one I would vote in the primary for. Not that it matters, like where I
Yeah,
am at. Like New York is like the like 20 something state in their primary. But
mhm,
like I would love for Rand Paul to run a competent campaign, but I think DeSantis is really cornering the market. He has to win in 2022 in Florida, which he
okay,
seems like he's securing.
yeah,
But he would be good to go. His biggest opponent, honestly, is Trump. Like he has to get Trump not to run again
right,
because people are going to vote for Trump again, and he might win the election again.
yeah.
Um,
What do you think about a Trump DeSantis ticket?
I don't think there's. If I'm Ron DeSantis, like I would he would obviously have to take it
Yeah,
because like we learned from Chris Christie when he refused to run in 2012 that
mhm,
your window to run for president when you're like the prime in attention is
yeah,
actually smaller than people think. And
okay,
Ann Coulter very famously, Ann Coulter by the way is very good at picking election like who's going to win.
okay,
Ann Coulter very famously on Bill Maher not only picked Trump to win during the primary, the presidency, but
mhm,
she also said that Christie needed to run in 2012 because if he didn't run, Romney would get the nomination and he would get annihilated by Obama, and that's exactly what happened. So, like
and they
DeSantis,
laughed at her too.
yeah, everybody, the whole crowd left there both times, by the way. But
Mhm,
DeSantis would really need Trump not to run because his window is 2024. There's no window after that. Republicans don't do that thing anymore where they let you take your turn. Like you have your window, you take your shot, that's it. If you don't
okay,
make it, then go away. We expect you to disappear, go live in the mines or whatever, and that's it. Or in Mitt Romney's case, run for Senate in Utah. But yeah, so if I'm DeSantis, I need to go in 2024. And by the way, I think 100% he would run against Trump in 2024. He's not going to bow out gracefully. All
Yeah.
of these guys want to be president, 100% of them.
Mm-hmm. I like DeSantis. I mean, he's and it feels like and everyone that I know in Florida loves DeSantis. I mean, I see random things being shared on the left like DeSantis is the worst person ever, and I'm like, I look into why, and they're like, because he is. Like that's it. That's all you got. What?
They, they
He's giving
call
people
him
personal freedoms. What?
they call him Death Santis. That's like their thing. The funny thing is about Ron DeSantis,
Oh my
they actually
gosh.
hate him like not for Trump, like it's a because it's a special hate. Like you notice it when they talk about him.
Yeah.
They hate him not just for his loyalty to Trump when he was running for governor, but they hate him because he beat Andrew Gillum. And Andrew Gillum was supposed to be their guy in 2020, like the
Hmm.
next Obama. He was this like I think he was the mayor of Tallahassee
Okay.
and or Tampa, I forget which one. And he was like this very smooth talking black candidate, progressive,
All
like
right.
very in the Obama mold, except with that southern drawl, so maybe even more appealing. And he was supposed to win Florida, and that was supposed to propel him to 2020 success.
Mm.
DeSantis beat that guy, and ever since then, the media has had like a blood feud with him because that was like their golden boy. And of
Yeah.
course, Andrew Gillum very famously was found in a Miami motel room with meth all over the floor, a gay prostitute, and he was completely naked.
Oh, that's who that guy is. I remember hearing that story, and that's rather embarrassing.
Yeah,
Oof.
but that was the. By the way, Andrew Gillum was married with 3 kids, and
Oh.
but they still love him. Like he came out as bisexual after that, like so
Okay.
he owned up to it.
All
But
right.
yeah,
And
like that was their guy. They were ready to go. Now, obviously, I'm hoping the media didn't realize he was a meth addict. Can you imagine meth addict president?
no, my goodness.
Like,
Well, I mean, we're like one generation removed with the president right now, aren't we? I mean,
I
who
mean,
knows? Who knows?
Joe Biden doesn't even know what meth is. He's a you could make drugs out of cough medicine. What?
Yeah. Well, he also probably believes he actually won the 2020 election.
I got the most votes ever. I don't know if you know that.
Most votes ever. Yeah, this guy. What
I'm
do you
I'm
think? What do you think
actually
of
like
that?
I'm actually in the camp that the biggest mistake that people made
Hmm.
in the 2020 election was not noticing all the rule changes for COVID because like there's a lot of people who are like, how did
Oh, no,
this thing?
they noticed. They saw it. People were complaining about it the whole year. I mean,
Yeah,
everyone was really upset. Pennsylvania changed a bunch of laws. California changed like every law. And
I-
now they're keeping it and making it permanent, which is
yes,
insanity.
that's the key. They changed rules for COVID, and then like now they're like, oh no, this is just what we wanted to do all along, which everybody should have known, and
Of
everybody
course.
did know that that's wise to what they're doing, and
Hmm.
it's a basic. But I think that's where the election was lost, not necessarily in any like crazy scheme to like bring in ballots or whatever. Like the election was lost when they changed the rules because the whole point was the
Why not
Democrats.
both? Sorry.
Sure, I mean you can make that case, but to me the whole thing was lost once you allowed them to set up their voters to vote incredibly easily
Yeah.
and made it more difficult for yours. Because remember, the ballot harvesting thing really advantages urban voters because
Hmm.
if you have people in a city and they 100 people in a building, you have somebody show up, pick up 100 people's ballots. They're more likely to vote Democrat. It's harder for your more rural voters to harvest in that way. It
Yeah.
just costs more time and money for Republicans to organize under those same rules. Like both parties strategically want to make it easier for their people to vote and harder for their opponents to vote. Like that is the name of the game. I know it sounds nasty or whatever,
It is. That's
but
nasty. And it's terrible that I want everyone to be able to vote legally. I want every legal vote to be counted and auctioned or not auctioned, uh, audited. We need to audit everything.
well, I want the signature matches to be there. I have no problem
Yes.
with voter ID in the place, and like people don't
Neither do I.
realize that
No one
in
should.
voter ID states they make the ID free. Like you can get a free version of the ID, and even
Okay.
if it isn't, it's like eighteen
That's
dollars.
hilarious. That's free.
Yeah,
Well, for the most cases.
no, they have a if they have a hard voter ID option, they have a free version of the ID you could get, like a non-driver's ID that's valid. And for the not free options, like your driver's license, it's good for 8 years.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's different in your state. I don't know, like if your driver's license lasts 8 years, but mine lasts 8 years.
You want to know how long my license lasts? 35 years.
Your driver's license?
I kid you not. 35 years.
Wow.
Let me pull this out. It says expires 2049.
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying $18. I was saying like $18 over 8 years. Like that's not that. And people will say, "Oh, like poor people can't afford it." It's like even if it was $80, if you can't afford $80 once every 8 years or 40 something, 35 years, whatever amount you just gave, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
Like, how are you're not alive? Like you're not alive in the country. Like these aren't real concerns. Like we should have some form of identification, verification at the ballot box. That's totally fine. And even the studies about how black people are somehow incapable of ever like getting a photo ID, like they can't
Insane.
walk into a DMV. It's like they'll spontaneously combust.
That's racist.
Yeah,
it's racist.
It's actually a study, but in all seriousness, it's actually a study from New York in like 2005 that just surveyed people on whether or not they had driver's license specifically in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So black people so they're like, oh, black people don't have a lot of driver's licenses according to the survey, and they made that into they don't have IDs. It's like, no, in New York City, a lot of people don't have driver's licenses. My brother,
you don't need it. I lived in New York for 12 years. Yeah. I never drove a car. Never.
Well, I drive everywhere because I'm a psychopath. But like, my brother doesn't drive a car. But that's what they based all this on. They've never done a follow-up study on that because they don't care. Once they get the answer they want, they just push that in policy. So the big racial gap in driver's licenses, it probably doesn't exist in any state that has implemented a voter ID system.
Yep. Well, I actually have seen many different videos of people walking around New York. Hey, do you have an ID? Yeah, of course. And it's like, I would say 95% of the people that they walked up to, and it's all races, it's not just like the black community, you know, they walked up and asked everyone, and everyone had an ID. And everyone was like shocked to even be asked. Like, yeah, of course. I needed to do anything. I needed to get liquor. I needed to go fly up on, a plane. I need to
a bank account.
Bank account. Like, yeah, you got to prove who you are. Like, okay, it's not a big deal. And everyone was like, that's ridiculous. And then when told, well, these people are saying that, you being a minority, you guys can't get IDs. And they're like, that's stupid. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's crazy because we have the vaccine card mandate here in New York City. When they when they check you at a restaurant, they not only check your card. Most of the time, they don't check it. Like I love my non-compliance, fake compliance New York City people. You show them the back of a piece of cardboard at a restaurant, they're like, "All right, you're good to go."
Nice.
Not even the right size. So I do appreciate a lot of those restaurateurs who don't care. But like the ones that go hard, that follow the rules, they check your card and your ID next to it. So like black people can't get an ID to vote once every 4 years, once every 2 years, according to like these people based on a New York survey. But it's totally fine to pass a law that requires ID and the vaccine card and the medical procedure. Like
just to do everyday normal things, let alone vote, which is one of the most important things Americans can do. If it's real, anyway.
We have a mask mandate, by the way. They mask mandated workplaces, and they said that the mask mandate for workplaces is any place, including a vehicle, where more than one person is present.
Wow.
So if you're like driving Uber, you have to wear the mask the whole time. Like if you get pulled over with nobody there, because a person can be present, like you can get cited by the police. It's insane.
Dude, all I know is I mentioned I lived in New York for 12 years. I got a ticket. I've gotten stupid tickets. And one time so Union Square, I spent a lot of time at Union Square. You know Union Square?
Yeah, 14th Street.
You know how like there's always those skaters that are skating down at the south side of the park? I actually on the north side too. So I was a skater for a long time. I don't really skate much anymore, but I was skating through. I wasn't even tricking. I wasn't like standing in one spot. I was just skating like I kind of went up into the park to kind of cut through to go up to 15th Street because I was heading west. And a cop stops me, grabs my arm, said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 there's no skating here." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just going through. I'm not like skating. I'm just, I'm going to the sidewalk right there." He's like, "Nah, doesn't matter. I got to give you a ticket." And I'm like, "Are you serious, dude? Like this is insane." He's like, "You know what? Between you and me, I just need to hit my quota."
Yeah.
Verbatim, this dude told me that. And I'm like, "Wow, that's it? You're just hitting your quota?" And then of course I fought it and the judge threw it out. He was like, "This is ridiculous. Like, stupid." And well, I didn't.
That's
It was just a
not
ticket, but I
abnormal.
did fight it, and it was great, and I got it thrown out. But my point is, these quota systems that the New York Police Department, that admittedly have told me to my face that they have to do, they have to reach a certain quota, or they'll lose money. Especially now when everyone's trying to defund the police, they have to maintain a certain amount of crime. So this is perfect. They're probably like way above quota. Like, wow, we got all these crimes. Look at this. We need more money from the government.
There's actually there. So quotas are technically illegal in policing.
Hmm.
So I was fortunate enough when I was in
You told me
university.
about it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Good.
no. They 100% exist. So I
Oh yeah.
studied under. I had a class where the DI of discipline. So like
Okay.
where the guy in charge of disciplining NYPD officers explained to me that like the way they get around it is they tell officers to set goals for
Set
themselves. For like
goals.
yes. And coincidentally, all of their goals are the same amount of tickets that they have to meet every single month. And they're like called activity goals. And you can get fired for not meeting your own goals. And you can get fired for not being ambitious enough in your own goals. And this is how they get around the quota system. But it's 100% real. It's
Absolutely.
100% present. And if you get pulled over at the end of the month, you're not going to get let off. Like it's just not going to happen
Definitely not.
because that's when they have to wrap it up. But yeah, I always I like I'm very interested in policing and
Okay.
like I make a lot of videos very critical of Black Lives Matter because they're against things like broken windows policing, which I am a big advocate for. I think it works, especially in New York, which is where it's actually designed for. A
Explain
lot of
that.
these
Broken
programs
broken
have
window policing. I don't know that.
huh?
Can you explain broken window policing? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
Oh,
there.
sure. So, broken windows policing is a theory of policing that essentially makes the case that if something looks abandoned, if something looks terrible, if something looks like trashy,
Yeah.
then like it will be there. It will be like that will become uh the norm. So basically, if you throw a brick through one window in a
Yeah.
city and it doesn't get fixed right away, let a week or 2 weeks pass by and all the windows are smashed. Like that's where it gets its name from.
Okay. I
But like
could see that actually. Yeah.
yeah, a better example that I like to use is if you go to a park and nobody's littering, like there's no garbage on there, and you have a bottle, water, whatever, chances are you're not going to throw it on the floor. But if
Right.
I go to that park and I dump a bag of recyclables, like just straight in a pile, and I
Yeah.
come back a week or 2 weeks later, it's going to be 3 times the size because people are just going to assume that's where you throw your trash. So
Okay.
so broken windows policing like would target like these areas, like they would target crimes like graffiti to like
Okay.
clean it up because again, if it looks like nobody's taking care of it, then like crime will be there because they're like, oh, nobody's watching it. They would target other crimes like fair jumping, which people don't think is a big deal, but the reason they would target that minor crime is because people who jump the turnstiles at the subway, when they get into the city, they're the ones doing the pickpocketing and stealing and all these other crimes. So they would like target this. They would target specific crimes that had downstream effects on other crimes in order to improve the city that we lived in. And this gets wildly misinterpreted as
Okay.
enforcing every single petty small crime in order to like stop the big ones, which is not true. When it was originally designed, it was specific crimes with downstream effects. So like I'm a big advocate for broken windows policing as it's properly done and specifically in New York City because like there's no equivalent crime in like Chicago to like jumping the turnstiles at the subway because
Right.
it's not a city that relies on the subway as much. But I would not do what Bloomberg did, which pissed a lot of people off and you experience, which is write tickets for every little thing for every little person because then
Yeah.
that gets rid of trust among the police. Like if you have you ever gotten a warning from a police officer?
Not in New York.
No, anywhere, anywhere.
Um I don't think so, actually.
Like, so
No,
when I was
no,
in
I don't think I ever have. Every time I've ever been pulled over, um, I've been pulled over for speeding twice, and no, only once. I've been pulled over twice in my life. Once for speeding. I was absolutely speeding. I got a ticket for it, and I was like, "Yep." Like, okay, what am I gonna do? And then the other time was because I had just got a car and my rear tail lights didn't work, and I was pulled over, and he and I. It was something weird with like one of the switches, but then they turned on, and he was like, "All right, you got." They work. Okay, so here's your license back. All right, have a good day. So I wouldn't consider it a warning because
right,
the problem was fixed mid being pulled over. So, um, yeah. But in New York, every single time I got grabbed, I mean, I straight up went up onto the sidewalk once to avoid, like, in New York, they always have the hydrants open in the summer and they're
yeah,
just spurting out. And I was on my board and I went up onto the sidewalk and over and back into the street on the other side. And four cops ran out and grabbed me. And they're like, "Whoa, you know what? You can't go on the sidewalk with your skateboard." I'm like, "Where's that rule? Like, what are you talking about? I was just going around that water main." And they're like, "Nope, nope. You got a ticket." Judge threw that one out too.
there's a guy who he made a video because he got cited for not riding in the bike lane, and he made a video of him just riding his normal route but
Yeah.
never leaving the bike lane. So he's like crashing into cones, like
Oh yeah.
going into moving trucks and all
I've
that.
seen that running
Yeah,
into cars
you
that are
know
parked there.
he didn't beat the ticket. Like he made that video for the judge and he still lost. But the video
Wow.
is hilarious on its
It
own.
is.
But like the reason you've never gotten a warning from the New York Police Department is that they actually, as a matter of policy, do not give warnings. Like that is not that's
That's
something
not
that they
surprising.
remove. But
Not
the thing
surprising at all.
is like I'm very big on warnings because if you get a warning, especially if you're in the wrong,
Yeah.
it's greatly appreciated. I got pulled
I
over on
agree.
like the worst day of my life. I was driving back from a funeral. It
Yeah.
was on my birthday. The funeral was in Florida. I got pulled over in Maryland. I was driving the whole time and I got pulled over for driving like crap. The guy thought I was drunk
Yeah.
and like I talked to the guy. I'm like dead tired. I have members of my family tired and all that. And the guy was like, you know what? If you pull off and go grab yourself a coffee, I'm gonna let you go. And then he's like, but I have to give you an official warning, right? So I
What
never
is
drive
that?
in the
What's
state.
an official warning? Do you get something or like a
It's like a piece of
piece of
paper
Oh,
where
okay.
they acknowledge you do this. So it comes up in the system. So once you're warned, if
Yeah.
you do the same exact things, then other officer won't give you another warning. Like then they'll write you a ticket.
Okay.
But
I didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah,
Like an official warning.
yeah,
Interesting.
some states have it for sure. So like the state trooper, he gave me the warning.
Yeah.
By the way, it was 7 warnings. Like I had so many because I was asleep. I was like swerving out of lanes and all this,
Wow.
going too fast. And like I'll never forget it because he gave me like he gave me a huge break on like a horrible day in my life. And
Yeah.
like that really improved my like opinion of the Maryland state troopers. So like I really appreciated that. And I think the police should do that, especially for these little offenses that don't matter because
Yeah.
there's nothing worse in terms of community police relations when they're there for like crime, specifically gun crime or violent crime or whatever, but
Yeah.
they're also looking at everybody's vehicle registrations and writing you a ticket for missing your inspection by a day or
Yeah.
citing you for jaywalking and all that. So like there is stuff that activists say about the police and believe about the police that I do support, but it's not like the overarching narrative of like this racist police that's just coming into these neighborhoods to kill minorities or any of that. But like
Right.
the harassment that they say that they feel due to the fact that they're getting cited because the cops are just there and they can write more citations if they're just present is real. And I think the cops should give people in these neighborhoods a break on those crimes because that builds community trust and hopefully can lead to a reduction in future crime. And we won't have like crazy riots when one cop does one thing nationwide if
Yeah.
people aren't already pissed about other things because you get a ticket and you feel like the cop give you a little bit of attitude even if you deserve the ticket you're going to
Yeah.
remember that
True.
and
And
imagine that
complain
happens
about it.
to you all the
And
time.
and,
That-
and it's gonna fester. And that
yeah,
really is so it's like really the answer isn't to defund the police. It's just to look at the system that is in place and go, that isn't working. Let's change that. this system where they get money per crime, like, because that's a big part of it. That's what I've come to understand about what the non-quota system is, the monthly activity list, why it's so important. It's because this or that system of they need to keep the amount of money to have the same amount of cops. It's like I'd rather my taxpayer dollars go to a system that helps promote community and trust in police, because right now, I mean, I lived in New York. I didn't trust any cops. I would see a cop and be like, "Oh man, like he's probably gonna pull me over, or he's gonna, of course, I was on a longboard, skating around the city, but I never really had to deal with them. But the few times I did, always got a ticket, always got something. It was stupid. But you make a good point. It's like we need to increase that trust, and those bringing back warning. Like, man, that thing that happened to you in Maryland. Like, how shitty would that have been if you would have gotten arrested or something? Like your family was in the car with you too. It's like it was your birthday, and you just
It
so
was
were
my
you cut.
birthday, and it was the day. It was a funeral for a relative I was really close to in Florida. Like it was just horrible, and
Yeah, yeah.
it
What a
was
day.
sudden death, the whole thing, and I was just like, ugh. I'm getting a little emotional even thinking about it. But yeah, that break really, really helped. And it's
Yeah.
late at night and all that. And I really appreciate that state trooper. But yeah, like that goes a long way. A little bit of care, a little bit of compassion does go a long way. I'm not saying you overdo it where you have people that are being let out that clearly should have been held for the crimes that they committed. But
Yeah.
I've been on the other side of the criminal justice system. I was wrongfully arrested in my past. I had to go through a whole trial, even though the charges made no sense. I had a friend. Have you ever heard of the Khalif Browder story?
No.
So there's this kid, Khalif Browder, and the way
Okay.
the media tells the story is he was arrested for stealing just a backpack. This was not the case, but they say he was arrested for stealing a backpack. He spent 3 years in Rikers because he couldn't afford
What?
bail, right? And when he got out, he eventually like killed himself because of the abuses that he found that he had in Rikers. Now, enough of that is true that it is concerning. However, it's what he stole inside the backpack. It was like a bunch of camera equipment and money and all that. So it was a grand larceny, not a
Uh,
$12 like JanSport backpack that he stole from some guy.
yeah, yeah.
Um, he had a probation violation because he had previous crimes, so that's why they couldn't get him out. It wasn't the family was too poor,
Okay.
but he was something like 16 or 15, and he was held for a long time. And he ended up taking his own life, unfortunately, after the fact. And
I'm
even
sorry.
if the other parameters are untrue, this is why it was a big concern. I had a friend that was arrested at age 15, and he was held in 5 years for Rikers, and
Wow.
he was arrested on a murder charge based on the idea that somebody had identified him as among a group of kids that killed somebody one night.
Okay.
It turns out in court at trial, the witness that identified him testified that she never identified him. She said a person wearing a red hoodie was in the group, and there were like 3 or 4 people according to the surveillance, who were
Yeah.
wearing red hoodies. He happened to be one of them.
Yeah.
5 years of his life, age 15 to 20, and then found not guilty on all counts, released. The people who were convicted of that homicide, who were found guilty because they were convicted for the assaults, not necessarily the death,
Okay.
they got 5.5 years, 6 years, whatever. But that's time served. It's the equivalent to 5 years. So he got out the same day as the people who were found guilty of this. No,
Wow.
he couldn't afford bail, like a real version of the Browder story. But my friend was half Asian, half white, so it wasn't that interesting in terms of media narrative. So
Okay.
like stuff like those stories do happen, and they are horrible in the system. But like we never get like the truth about those stories, and that's one of the things that really bothers me about covering criminal justice related issues, is that we always have to knock down like 10 myths before we get to a real case. And
Yeah.
then the policy response is like no bail, and that's how you get the Waukesha guy who had like $1,000 bail on serious crimes. In New York State, every single crime that he was charged with, that he was let out on $1,000 bond, he would have been let out on for no bond at all.
Yeah.
In fact, aggravated vehicular manslaughter in this state right now,
Hmm.
you don't get bail. Like they
What?
just get you out. It's crazy.
That's that. I mean, and that whole thing is really sad. I mean, they they he wasn't he just arrested too, like a week prior, and
Yeah.
then
So
he made bail, and it's for hitting someone with a car, wasn't it?
yeah,
That
he hit his ex-girlfriend with the car, and he was also, I think that was like a couple weeks before, if
yeah.
I'm not, but he was arrested for bail jumping, so he didn't show up for his date. So like
Uh,
bail is meant for people who don't show up for court. You think they're gonna
right,
flee and you think they're gonna reoffend. He
right.
checked all of those boxes, but a part of this like no bail, reduced bail ideology is you shouldn't hold flight risk, previous history, or any of this stuff against the person. So we have had insane scenarios here where a guy gets arrested for bank robbery. Turns out that's a no bail crime. So he goes back out next day and commits two more bank robberies. He gets arrested again. That's still a no bail crime because you can't use the cumulative history against him. So you
Wow.
end up basically with the guy who what you call it, who breaks he does like 6 or 7 bank robberies, and then they do a psychiatric hold because they're like, we can't keep releasing this guy because he keeps
Yeah.
robbing banks. Or
Right.
the feds get involved saying it's a federal like conspiracy, how many times he's robbing these banks or whatever,
Yeah.
because that's how bad these reforms are. Like I'm for like I'm not for these like mandatory minimum sentences, these crazy sentences. I'm for like
Agreed.
crazy idea that judges are meant to use judgment
Yes.
based on these cases. And like we
Agreed.
seem to have totally lost that. We went from no judgment, mandatory minimum, everybody gets held in prison, everybody gets a ticket, no warnings, any of that, to the other direction, no judgment, everybody gets released basically, unless they're charged with a aggravated sexual crime or a murder, like a
Right.
straight up murder, not even like a homicide. You get released on a homicide, but a straight up
Wow.
like premeditated murder, everybody gets released. It's just crazy. Like we need some middle ground in our criminal justice system.
It's crazy. I we need a lot. There's definitely a lot of issues with the criminal justice system. It's crazy. So how do we go about doing that? What are the steps to have that achieved?
So, like I'm very big on we have to diagnose the problem appropriately first.
Yeah.
So like I had one of these discussions with somebody, and I won't even name him because he annoyed the crap out of me on my channel,
Okay.
and he kept trying to jump to solutions. Like he's like, let's get into solutions, let's get into solutions. I'm like, but we fundamentally disagree on what the problem is. Like
Good point. Okay.
so I think one of the main like things that we can't overlook is that we have to pull out these violent criminals from the area. Like the police need to be there. So I'm
Yeah.
in favor of the police reducing like their petty ticket writing and all that angers the community and creates so much more of the hatred, because in
Yeah.
reality they don't kill that many people. So like the amount of people who are directly like impacted or whatever is actually small. It's like a cumulative effect of you not liking the police and feeling personally targeted by the police due to the ticketing and all that, that lets you rage out when you see like videos or whatever.
Yeah.
So like for like I'm for building community relations. I'm for like not over ticketing like these people who happen to live in high crime neighborhoods. But we have to pull these people out of the neighborhoods, because it's just like what the problems we see in the schools is that portion of the violent kids, the disruptive kids, like those kind of kids, they
Hmm.
bring down everybody else. Like there's like let's say 2% of the population in these neighborhoods are criminal, but
Okay.
like half of that population of criminals are like repeat offenders, and they negatively impact every single person in there. Like the fact when you have high crime, high instances of theft, nobody wants to lend money to invest in a business there, or if they do, they lend it at higher interest rates because it's a more risky investment. Nobody wants
Right.
to insure these areas, and if they do, the insurance premiums are higher because it's a more risky investment. Like
Hmm.
the crime has a lot of downstream effects that cause and maintain the poverty in these neighborhoods. So people who get obsessed with like addressing like poverty, I call this the arresting poverty hypothesis,
Yeah.
have it backwards, because all like what they're actually advocating for is like the government to spend money on programs that they think will reduce poverty, but we've been doing that for decades. What they
Right.
need to do is like you need to establish rule of law, because when you have rule of law, you will have economic growth. Like this is what we've seen across the world. So, and then that hopefully will reduce crime and all that. But you have to pull out these like repeat offenders, the people
That
Hillary Clinton used to call super predators. You got to yank them out of the community.
that line, when you have rule of law, you have economic growth. That's a good line. That's a good like overview of a lot of issues that we're seeing right now, because rule of law is being thrown out the door, and it's just getting exponentially worse. I mean, look at San Francisco right now. Like, look at California. Like, these places, businesses are being robbed. They're just walking in. They're not even trying very hard. They're walking in, using the carts, filling the cart up, and walking out. Um, there. I saw a picture of these people that leave their rear, like, their trunks open.
Yeah.
So people can go into the car and see that there's nothing in there, and it's like, oh, I don't have to smash a window because I can see, oh, there's nothing in this car. I'll just move on.
Do you know what happens when they do that? When they
What?
open the trunks? So that was the original thing. They won't break my thing. They'll rummage through my stuff and find out there's nothing there. But
Yeah,
then homeless people started sleeping in their cars.
that doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's like, what do you expect? You leave a nice warm bed for them.
Yeah.
Close the door behind them. All right, now it's got peace and quiet. What are they thinking, man?
Well, it is really bad. I had a cousin that went to San Francisco. His rental car got smashed and broken into because it's the car breaking capital. But
Yep.
the shoplifting, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's Walgreens, it's CVS, whatever. Those are big corporations. Like they don't really matter." First of all, they do rob. Like I pay very close attention to the local crime stories in these big urban centers. They
Okay.
do rob those local stores. You just don't hear about the family-owned business shutting down and
Right.
all that. But second, it raises the cost of doing business there. It raises the cost of goods, like those thefts. There's a great section of one of Thomas Sowell's books. It's
Okay.
like it's probably in a couple of his essays where he talks about how stores in bad neighborhoods charge more, but they have lower profits because they have to compensate for all these losses due to
Yeah.
theft. Plus, when they're smaller stores, they can't like buy in bulk in the same way that a Walmart or any of these other stores can.
True.
And it creates a lot of problems. And like Walgreens, the reason these companies are shutting down, even though they're big profitable companies, is because the way they became big profitable companies was by selling a lot of volume at low margins.
Right.
So when you start stealing a whole bunch from these companies, like the math doesn't make sense for them to open there, and that's how you end up in a neighborhood that used to have grocery stores and different variety of businesses to only having dollar stores
Yeah.
because like that's the only thing that can operate because dollar stores actually have higher margins because they don't sell you groceries, like they
Yeah.
don't sell you fresh fruit or anything like that. And they come in based on this crime, and then people start complaining that they only have dollar stores and they don't have access to high quality stuff. Like these
Yeah.
people are destroying the neighborhoods that they live in. They're not good people. Again, on my channel we call like this, oh, they're stealing bread for their family. I call them Aladdins. Like people think
Okay.
criminals are just Aladdin, like
Right.
like they're giving it to little like big-eyed kids down the block.
Yeah. Sure. Sure,
But
you are.
in San Francisco, they've busted entire warehouses with like $8 million of inventory. And this is just inventory stolen from CVS. And you can look up the videos of this. It's amazing.
Wow.
It it's like stuff stolen from CVS and Walgreens and all that. And it's like repackaged and resold. Some of the store owners, if you read some of their like accounts, they'll say these people will come in with a trash bag. They'll load up all the stuff that they can load up, and
Yeah.
they'll literally go 2 blocks away and sell everything on a table, like just out
Wow.
in the street, no business permits, nothing like that, cash only, no taxes. So like the shoplifting, the lax prosecution of shoplifting is so bad that it's basically invited in organized crime. So
Yeah.
this isn't even poor people, like the homeless people stealing stuff is an issue, and I don't think there should be tolerance for it. But it's like so bad, and the prosecutions are so low that it's actually like triggering a rebirth of organized crime in retail.
It's crazy. And they blame it all on systemic racism.
Yeah. It's like Goodfellas, that scene in Goodfellas where they hijack the cigarette truck and then they bring it into the other neighborhood and they sell the cartons out the back of the truck.
I've never seen it, but
Oh,
I can get the vibe from that little description you said. Yeah, that's
yeah.
funny. So let's get into some super chats. This has been a great conversation. I want to let everyone know if you like the vibe, you can go actually follow Sean down below. Is his description or in? Oh, I didn't put your Instagram. Did I put your Instagram in here? I did. I put your Instagram, so you can get his Twitter, get his Instagram. Definitely go follow his Instagram. He's trying to get to 10,000, and then also check out all of his videos because, I mean, obviously he has a very good overview on a lot of different justice subjects. He is, in fact, the actual justice warrior instead of the SJWs that are out there pretending to be justice warriors when they just want to convince you that it is systemic racism and white people are oppressive and are the only ones who can be racist.
I, I I used to think that was the most clever name ever, and then I made my channel. It's like nobody took this, and then like 2 weeks in, I
Uh-huh.
was like, this name sucks. But then the sunk cost fallacy sunk in, and then I've just rolled with it for 5 years.
I think actually I'm glad you stuck with it because now it's almost like a smack to their face. Like you all think you're justice warriors. Y'all are idiots. Like I'm like an actual justice warrior. And it is kind of the vibe that I get from you because you tend to, follow logic and facts. And I like people that do that. It's refreshing when I see someone that actually has like receipts and goes through the knowledge and is very aware of what is happening. So nice
Thank you,
job.
I appreciate that. Flattery will get you everywhere with me, Adam.
All right, let me get to wow, I can't believe I'm on episode 298. This is insane. Thank you everyone for being with me on my journey here. First is from Errant Vice. He said, I don't even know what this means. I don't I don't know if you're gonna get me in trouble, Errant, but I'm gonna read it anyway. It says Chumbo Lives Matter. I don't know what that is. That something that you know?
Chumbo?
I don't know what that means. He says things are pretty rough in the Navy. I think it's time to go over to the Air Force and hang out with some furries. LOL. Have a good one, Adam. What are you talking about, Aaron? Sorry.
No idea.
That sucks that things are rough in the Navy though. I always wanted to join the Air Force myself. Robert Wild says, I hope this makes Betty and Diana Francisco smile. Look at locals on my right knee. Had to reschedule Joe's visit. Be blessed, everyone. Right, I will check it out. And GJJ with a $15 super chat says, seeing lots of silliness on the YouTube lately. Glad you're doing good. Well, thank you. I am feeling good and I am doing good and I'm just seriously I'm having some great conversations with awesome people that are coming on my show. Case in point, today's episode, just a really solid conversation about because I know you said you had that person that is in your chat. It's like solutions. What about solutions? And you do have a good point. People so like they think the problem is systemic racism. And that's not the case, right? And then like we're talking about the crime statistics and what the implications and like the trickle effects of like what that does to a neighborhood with high crime. Um, that that's not racism. That's criminals. Uh, Not a race issue. I'm just saying
Yeah.
criminals doing crime that are basically ruining it for everyone else. And rule of law. When you have rule of law, you have economic growth. I love that line. That's such a good line.
It's
Um,
it's it's also like they do what I call the root cause fallacy.
yeah.
So just because even if like I never get past level 0, which is like poverty, like
Okay.
causes all the crime. But like even if you accept that poverty motivates you to become more criminal, like it's such a strong motivator that
Okay.
that's a huge predictor of crime.
Mhm.
It does not mean that you go softer on people who are poor. In fact, it means the opposite. Remember, when we were like in a more scarce time, pre-industrial revolution, and
Mhm.
somebody stole from your market, the punishment you were allowed to deal out to that person was to cut off their hand, because with more dire circumstances, greater incentives to commit crimes, you actually need stricter punishments. So like they end up like they totally misunderstand that if poverty is the root cause, then the solution might not necessarily be to go softer on poor criminals. And on top of that, like the idea that you would address poverty, that just because you identify root cause doesn't mean it's the most efficient way to get rid of the symptoms. Like if you're treating a disease, sometimes you just treat the symptoms rather than spending all your time and money working on a cure because finding a cure for a disease is really difficult. So like there's a lot of like misunderstandings, like even if I accepted their original premise, which I don't, that they tend to have. And it's one of the reasons why I recommend James Q. Wilson's writings on crime, because
Mhm.
he probably saved more lives than any other American academic in history, basically
Wow.
revolutionizing the way we see policing.
That's a pretty big statement. Can you send me a link to that?
Oh,
Or
shit.
is it a book or is it
Well,
online
he
somewhere?
has written books, and there's articles that he's written. I'll write his name in the chat.
All right.
But like more in terms of public policy, like obviously people who made wheat that could feed,
Right,
millions
right,
of
right. Yeah,
people.
I get it. Right. But that's still a pretty powerful statement though. Let's see. Mr. Gregory says, "Hail Krigger with attitude and Shanks Shank Uger. I don't know how to say the dude's name.
Jank.
But
It's
his
actually yeah.
Shank's best friend. I guess that's you.
Yes.
Um You're his best friend. Robert Shaw says, "Actual cringe warrior." I mean, justice. That's a super chat. No. This is an actual justice warrior. The rest are the cringy ones. And if you follow his content, Robert Shaw, you will understand. Although I gotta just let you know, I don't think he even knows who you are or has seen any of your stuff. I think Robert Shaw just kind of has this kind of free flow super chat style where
No.
they're hit or miss. Um, and so I think he's just going with the flow. Junebug says, "Adam, will you join Sitch, Sitch and Adam show? A double A team rule supreme." I don't know Sitch and Adam. I love going on other people's show. I really enjoy
I
it. Do you know
I
Sitch and
know
Adam?
them.
Uh
I've
huh.
been on their show.
Have
Uh,
you?
yeah, a few times, and I like trolling their show. Like their shows are so long. So last time I was on, I was like buying Christmas presents, but I was like narrating what I was doing. I'm like, oh, you
You're like
know,
over here online buying Christmas presents or something?
yeah. So
Okay.
because they do like 10-hour streams, but you definitely should go on. Like I'm sure they would love to have you. Like
Okay.
Stitch and Adam are really good dudes, and
Cool.
they find some weird videos to react to. And it's a
All right.
long show. So like just remember the general rule that you don't have to stay the whole 10 hours.
10
Right?
hours.
Yeah.
Is that wow? I was gonna say, I've been on Yellow Flash's show. I know about being on long shows. I've been on Friday Night Tights. These guys go for like 4 or 5 hours, but like a 10-hour show.
Yeah.
And what is it, like once a week or something?
Yeah,
Or
it's their Sunday show.
oh, that's a lot of being live. That's a lot. I mean, we're going through super chats, and then once we're done, that's pretty much like when I end the show. But 10 hours, my goodness. Oof. I think I'm good. But I would join him for a little bit, a little while, couple hours for sure. Julian with the $10 super chat says, "Hey Sean, AIU made a video recently deriding Dave Rubin for warning about government overreach in response to the St. Mary's virus. I mean, Corona. Would you agree this is a rare lapse of judgment from him?"
I haven't seen Devin's video yet, so I would reserve judgment on that.
Okay.
Um, obviously, Devin is a friend of mine, and he's also hilarious. So,
Okay.
but he does have it in for Dave Rubin, because little
Okay.
backstory for those of you folks.
Sure.
Dave Rubin, before he left the left, while he was at TYT, was actually reaching out to people who were making response videos to the Young Turks, because he was actually taking in a lot of the criticism, and he would reach out to Devin, and Devin kind of like de-radicalized him a little bit, and then he just went all the way, like, he went even further than like Devin would like, into more social conservatism,
Yeah.
because Devin was obviously aligned with Sam Harris during that whole Jank debacle. But I'll check it out.
Okay. And have you guys seen V for Vendetta lately? Give it a refresher watch if you don't mind. It's oof. Let's see. Briandon, I don't know how to say your name. You even have a little thing over the A. I don't know how to say it, but it seems like a Brandon, but I don't think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, he says, "Yes, two of my favorite YouTubers, Sean single-handedly turned crossing state lines into a meme." Also,
Oh,
did
I
you?
forgot. Yo, okay. You know how everybody, even Tucker Carlson and Kyle Rittenhouse, are mocking the crossing state lines thing?
Oh yeah, of course.
So I am claiming credit for that meme. I originated it day one when the shootings happened and the videos were up on the internet before we
Yeah.
knew who any of these people were. I
Okay.
started seeing people say cross state lines with the gun or whatever.
Yeah.
And I said in my video, I'm like, I don't know why people keep saying cross state lines. Like, that's not crossing state lines with a firearm is not illegal on its own.
Right.
Like, it's just not true. Like, I know people who go hunting in like Maine and they'll
Yeah.
drive up from Florida, they'll go through New York where every gun is basically illegal.
Yeah.
And it's not a crime because you're allowed to pass through. So I started making fun of that, and it's like it's so like enjoyable to see everybody kind of on board that. And I
Yeah.
made this like Anna Kasparian compilation of
Okay.
her saying cross state lines for Kyle Rittenhouse over and over again, and that Illinois and Wisconsin are different states, and like because it has nothing to do with anything. It's not a crime, anything like that. And I've seen like larger compilations of news media people,
Yeah.
and they have my compilation in the middle of it. So it's like
Nice.
it's like all these different MSNBC hosts, and then like a minute of Anna Kasparian.
You're like, I did that.
Yeah, I zoom in on the clips too. Like I have a Ken Burns effect, so I know it's from me and all that.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I even sell state line crossing T-shirts now.
Nice. That's awesome. And he actually continues. He says, also agreed at not Mikey Harlow, although he said Mikey Harlow is the best. Is he in chat right now? Was he in chat earlier? That's cool because he added him. So maybe he did. That's cool. What's up, Mikey? If you're here, Rob Shaw says they care about children unless they're unborn. Oof. Okay, that's a harsh truth there. Jitters with a $10 super chat says, appreciation to you both. While I have been laughing my ass off at most videos you release, Sean, I truly value the statistics you include into your videos to aid in your stand against evil. God bless. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I love receipts. I love it when people are like, here's my opinion on this stupid take that this person had because of these statistics that prove it wrong. And if you like that and that sounds interesting, check out his channel down below in the description. You can follow his YouTube channel, also his Twitter and Instagram. Definitely check it out. You cover a lot of stuff, actually.
A lot of crimes. What he's talking about when he's like, oh, you get all jokey. It's after I cover a story over and over again. Like I feel like because there's all new people who watch your videos. You
Right.
cover a lot of stuff.
I do. I'm all over the place.
But you feel like you have to repeat like the information, like the base information before moving on to the new things, so people aren't asking you about that sometimes.
Sometimes it's rare because I tend to focus on daily things. And I do find I'm so sick of talking about race issues and critical race theory. And, I feel like I've stated my point so often about everyone's the same. We all bleed the same color. It's like it's so sad that people don't see it to me. That I but when it comes up in a conversation, I feel like it needs to be said because people for some reason want to be a victim and want to blame someone else, and a lot of the time they're told it's because of your race, it's because of your skin color that this is happening to you. And it's like, oh my gosh,
But like when you do like a follow up, like like if you cover like the Jussie Smollett story, like you have to kind of give like the background of what he alleged in order to do the updates of the story.
I did one story on him, and that's it.
Oh, see, you're
I waited until after it was done. I kind of did it last minute too, because the day that he was found guilty, he was found guilty maybe 10 minutes before I went live. And I was like, I have to talk about this.
Right.
And I quickly, in the 10 minutes before the show, scrounged up some articles. And then I basically talked about everything that he did, talked about the trial. And then he was guilty. And that was the end of it. So
you were the responsible one. I waited for the police to issue a warrant for him before I was like, because I knew that story was not, come on, right away. But
everybody did.
But what he references is like, so if I do like the same, like a follow up, I have to like condense the information from the previous video almost like into like
Yeah.
the previously. But
Yeah.
it's really frustrating because if I don't do it, people will leave you comments and be like, "Well, what do you mean?" Like they don't like. I'm like, just watch the. But I get it. So like that's when my videos get like even more ridiculous because I have to burn through it so quickly. So I
Yeah.
end up like hamming it up whenever I'm going over that, and
Yeah.
I'm glad he appreciates that.
Well, that's awesome. Let's see. Janet with a $20 super chat says, sending you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you for your wonderful work. Thank you,
Oh,
Janet. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. Robert Shaw again. Mark Robert Shaw from the Crigler Show, he changed his name, says, I want the title and prestige of president, not the responsibility. They don't care about the country. They care about being remembered. Egotistical.
true.
I agree. I agree. A long story short says, off topic. Sean says he is from New York, but he doesn't sound like anyone from New York with his accent. I have lived in New York my whole life. DeSantis 24. I lived in New York longer than I've lived anywhere else on this planet. 12 years I lived in New York. I don't sound like a New Yorker. Are you
I,
from New York?
I'm originally from Texas, but I've been here since I was 7. So
There it is.
you just gotta hear me say words like coffee.
Well,
You gotta
did you ham it up a little on that coffee, or
give
you?
me well, that's people mock me whenever I say I want a coffee.
So that's how you naturally say it. You're not
I'm
like,
hamming it up a little bit, but like
okay, okay. I thought so. I love coffee, by the way. I don't know if you know about.
regular coffee. I hear it's
Have you tried it? Have you tried it?
well, somebody gave it to everybody except for me.
All
That
right.
was
Let me just explain this because this is not my fault. All right. So I was invited to Texas to join Elijah and Savannah and also Sydney over on the You Are Here show. And I flew down and I didn't know that Sean was going to be joining us. Granted, it was a fun show to have you with us. So, I brought Elijah and Savannah both a mug of, because we got this awesome mug, shout out to my own coffee company, and gave them both a bag of coffee. And Sean's sitting in the middle of the room. Like, here's Sean right across from me. I got Elijah over here and I got Savannah over here. And I'm like, here you go, Elijah. Here you go, Savannah. Hi, Sean. He's just like, what did you say? You're like this. You just brought me flashbacks to
oh,
Christmas growing up.
Savannah was like, and I cut this clip out because I enjoyed it so much. Savannah was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's like Christmas," and Sean got nothing, and I'm like, "Yeah, exactly like Christmas at my household."
So I'm sorry about that. But you know what? Why don't I make up for it and just send you a bag of coffee? How's that sound?
Oh, that's sweet.
So
I
just
will.
go to kriglercoffee.com, pick a bag, pick whatever blend you want, and I'll send you. I'll hook you up.
It's good too, and Adam's a sweet guy. He got Elijah a left-handed mug.
I did. It's true. Totally intentional. I absolutely knew that he was left-handed. That's why I did that for him. Robert Shaw, 18-year-old at work, went home because it's too hot. Are you serious? 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. These entitled youngins think they know what hard work means. Ryan says, we have had a lot of presidents on hard drugs. It was accepted and considered good for your health in the past. I bet the last few POTUS did Adderall. I wouldn't be surprised if Biden's on Adderall, right?
Well,
Would that
Kennedy.
surprise you?
I wouldn't be surprised. But Kennedy had he was treated by that doctor
Yeah.
that treated Mickey Mantle but gave him a staph infection.
Ooh.
That it was his name was Dr. Feelgood. That guy was shooting people up with not methamphetamine, but amphetamines.
Wow.
Like a cocktail of amphetamines. People were like, "Oh, I feel great after getting it." It's like, yeah,
Like,
you
Dr.
got,
Feelgood.
yeah, you got loaded up with amphetamines. So when he treated Kennedy, that's why when Mickey Mantle got sick from him, people were shocked.
Wow.
And Mickey Mantle almost died.
Yeah. That's crazy. Let's see here. Fantastic Mr. Knox says, I don't understand why people are losing over showing ID to vote. Or I guess losing it over showing ID to vote. Just show your driver's license. Here, that's what I and many others do to vote. I don't get it either. I mean, here in Arizona, when I voted last year, I had to show my ID and there's a signature. Like, it's not on the back. You don't like sign it. It's actually, you sign at the DMV and it's like on the ID itself.
Yeah.
So you can't alter it at all. And it's my signature. So, signature match. They matched my signature. I had to sign this book, and it felt really legit. Oh, there's a fly in here. What's up, dude? I'm not Mike Pence. Get out of here. Where am I? It's me. Says you need ID for vax mandate. Racist. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the same people that say voting for ID is racist are also advocating for vax mandates with ID. So, which is it, guys? Control. That's all they care about. Rob Shaw says, no restrictions in NSW. The media is not happy. Oh, well, are you there? So that would be nice. Mark Robershaw is, by the way, is on Australia. So he's been dealing with Australia. We all know what's going on in Australia. My goodness.
I saw an escaped Australian today. Yesterday, actually. He finally got out. He's living in Jersey.
Good for him.
Think a blue state like Jersey would be pretty bad, but they actually haven't re-implemented. They haven't followed the New York City down the path to damnation.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, because man, New York City is looking scary right now. Sticky Icky Ricky says, are you playing the Ballad of Chasey Lane on your 300th show? You know, I don't know. I probably won't be playing any new covers. So just let you know, every one of my Centennial shows, I played covers. I don't do covers ever. On my Friday nights, I do a jam session. I've got a guitar with me, and I play my own original music every Friday. And every 100 episodes, I'll play a bunch of covers that I'm used to. Wow, this fly loves me. Dude, get out of here. I'm live right now, dude. All right, chat. What should I name this annoying fly? Anyway, so I probably won't be playing any new covers. I'll just probably play the, just the classics. Benjamin Mauser says, with a $10 super chat, thank you. Glad you're better. Me too.
I'm glad you're better from the Ronies too. I want to go back to your guitar playing because I don't know if you guys know this, but Adam Crigler, you may not be able to capture him in all his glory. He's a ridiculously handsome man in person.
Oh, stop
Especially with the glasses. I was waiting for him to like take off the glasses, rip off his shirt, and go Superman on us. So
what are you talking about? This guy's crazy.
The fact that he also plays guitar, it's like that he has handsome man hobbies. He's going to tell you that he probably horseback rides.
I can. I have.
And that he also does like kickboxing to stay fit on the weekends.
Now, you want to know something funny? You want to know why there's flies here? There is literally 2 horses right outside that wall right there.
What'd I tell you?
How did you know this, man?
When somebody is a nice looking fella and they have one handsome guy like hobby, they start to stack them up.
All right, there you go. What's next? What other hobbies should I get into?
I've had very little experience with the handsome dudes, but like I used to do I used to do I still do some short film work, and I literally met a dude and he just ran down the list of the things that he does, and I'm like, he's a cool guy and everything. I'm like, but I kind of hate him.
Are you like trying to like subtweet me and tell me you hate me right now? Is that what's happening?
No, you're a good guy. Oh, you also like you make your own coffee, that's.
Well, I do make my own every day, but I have someone else roast it for me, so I'm not roasting it myself. Although that I would actually like to get to my roaster.
You do the beans, so that means you have the grinder in your place, right?
True. Yeah, I grind my own coffee.
That's another thing. You're like, I like my coffee. I like to fresh grind it every day. That
true.
Really
I do fresh grind it every day. And I did get to I picked my blends, so I got to taste test different blends before I release them, that's
CriglerCoffee.com, right?
CriglerCoffee.com, really easy to find out. Yeah, go pick your favorite. Let's see here. Mark Robershaw says, "Let the swamp take back New York City. Let it go. No, make New York City great again." I moved to New York City. When did I move there? 2003. So I moved to New York in 2003, and New York was still like gritty. It was still kind of dirty. CBGBs was still around. Like, there was Virgin Records was still a thing in Union Square. Like, it was like the hanging on to like this amazing place, and just slowly all these places started closing. CBGB's is a John Varvatos store now, and it's like it's just, man, Virgin closed down, and I don't even know what's there, like an Apple store or a bank.
Probably if probably a bookstore slash bar. That's what the gentrifiers do. Like you can
Yeah.
read your book, but have some elegant wines. I
Yep.
will say, like New York, I love it. Like a lot of people are like just abandoned and all that, but there's like an attitude and like something in the people here that like
Yeah.
I have fallen in love with. It's like it's kind of like some bad stuff will go down here, but like nobody's gonna come in and mess with us. Like that's I like to it's captured actually kind of well in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies,
Okay.
like a couple times. Like
Is
it's
that the
that
newer ones?
no, that's the older ones. The
Oh, the
Sam
originals. Okay,
yeah,
originals.
it's like like you saw it a lot in post 9/11. Like there's just like an attitude, like a broader like coming together that I really appreciate, and it's sad to see it revert into a more crime ridden city because there's a reason New York was one of the safest big cities in the country. Is because the poor, the rich, everybody, we all take the subway. We're all walking the same streets. There's no
Yep.
escaping from the burbs. Like that's why people got real serious about crime here versus other cities because we all have to deal with it. And it's really sad to see people forget some of that.
Yep, I agree. It is a bummer. I loved New York. Loved. I still love it, but I don't have any interest in going there right now. Alex says, "Great guest choice, Adam. Good going, man, and keep up with the good work, both of you." Man, this fly is freaking attacking me right now.
That's the guest they're congratulating you for, the fly.
Yeah. What am I naming him? I forgot to watch chat. Did you guys come up with a name for the fly? Someone said Kurt. Someone said Pim. Someone said Carlin. That's pretty funny. Someone says Tyler. Fauci. That's a good one. Joy Reid. All right. Tim. No. Hillary. All right. It's pretty funny. You guys are good. Anyway, thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. And I agree. Great guest choice. Indeed. That was all me. He had nothing to do with this. I was begging him to come on my show. No, I felt bad for the coffee thing too. So I'm glad you're going to get some coffee. Lojan, I don't know how to say your name, but thank you for that super chat. Didn't even say anything. Robert Shaw says, "Actual Justice Warrior, put that skeleton back in the closet." What's up with the skeleton? Tell us about it. What's going on there?
So this is gonna sound really stupid. I thought like skeletons were really useful
Okay.
because everybody who had like a skeleton in like in day to day life, like in a lab or whatever, they
Yeah.
seem to have a use for it. So I misinterpreted that to think that this would be the most useful thing ever. But it's like 5 feet tall,
Okay.
and my apartment's like really small, and it turns out that maybe me thinking that a science teacher needed using a skeleton as something useful made it overstated the usefulness. So I ordered it. I don't know what to do
Wow.
with it.
Is it like a really high quality one? Like you can move it around and
I could definitely move it around for sure, but it's like it's it's 5 feet tall, like it's huge. Like
yeah. Oh, I see it. Oh yeah,
like,
it's
it's
the big.
bendable and posable and all
Okay,
that.
so this wasn't like remnants from Halloween. This is legitimately something that you've had for a while that you got thinking it was a good idea.
I think I was gonna use it once for a joke, but then
Okay.
it came later than the video was intended for, and I never like yeah. So it's just here. I
Okay.
move it around.
Interesting. Robert Shaw says it's a Gundam's for next guest. Okay. I don't know what that
I heard
means,
of
but
it. It's a Gundam.
oh, okay. All right. Never heard of that. I've also never seen Gundam, so don't shoot me.
He's a YouTuber. He does he got
Oh,
into
I know I know the YouTuber Gundam, but I've never actually seen the show. Is that so he's referencing
yeah.
the next guest for Gundam? Okay, I got it.
Yeah, I'm not into the Gundam thing. I think
No.
I never watched it either. I remember the promos for it though.
Okay. Brotherly says $5 for the skeleton. Hey, your skeleton just made me money. Thank you.
Yeah.
Robert Shaw says twerkathon with actual Justice Warrior. No. That is between me and Flodzilla. It's a long story, but once I hit 1 million subs, I'm now going to have to twerk. Get away from me, Carlin. I meant the fly. I guess I
No.
said. I guess I settled for a name. Fantastic Mr. Knox says, I don't think these people, especially those in charge, allow thefts to happen. They do they not consider when stores pack up and move out from problematic areas? Yeah, didn't Target move out of the Twin Cities in Minnesota? Didn't they like close? They're like, you know what? We're gonna
Oh,
move
n-
out.
no. So in San Francisco, they started
Mhm.
closing at like 6 p.m. to prevent
Wow.
robberies. But
Okay.
in Minneapolis, they redesigned the Target to be like super pro-black, and you should look at the images of it. It's hilarious. It's like
What does
they
that mean?
well,
What does that mean?
so they consulted like a local black designer to make it more like racially equitable, but it's a Target, so it's still like red shelves and
Yeah.
all that. So there's big posters and signs of famous like black activist quotes like Malcolm X and like all
Uh-huh.
this stuff. And I just imagine going in there and it's like you have to get your cleaning supplies, but the aisle is labeled like Harriet Tubman instead. It's like, oh, that's in Harriet Tubman 6. Like they just made it very like civil rightsy and all that. But they
Well, I
interviewed,
can't steal from this place now.
yeah. Well, they interviewed the designer, and the designer was like, yeah, they told me that they wanted it to be more representative of the community. And they took almost all my suggestions, except for the one where I said you should put some shutters in front of it so you can stop people from smashing the windows. Like,
Probably a good idea in this neighborhood too. Just really want to represent the neighborhood. Wow, that's oof.
so, like even the black like woman designer, that's like the racial equity designer of this Target, was like, "Yo, they're still going to steal everything that you have, so you got to lock this up."
Wow. That's rough. That's rough. Alan Costello says, "Can we talk about what Jack Murphy did to Sydney?" Um, I think it was embarrassing. Do you know about the whole thing? That
What went down?
Sydney read a super chat and that she was just simply reading, and someone asked him about an article he wrote about being a cuckold. That it's a real article. He actually wrote it, and he said that he basically just said "f you." And really, F you. How dare you do this to me? Like, you're really going to do this to me? F you. Seriously. And she was like, I don't know what this is even about. Like, I'm just reading the super chat. And he was so, I mean, man, I've known Jack for over a year. I've met him in real life. He's always been very nice to me. And uh, it was really embarrassing and sad to see someone who I respected um, just speak so rudely to Sydney, who I've also met, and it was always very nice to me and was very clearly doing nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And he embarrassed himself. That's it. That's all.
I'm
I don't really want to speak much on it, but
I,
that's
I'm
he embarrassed himself.
I'm surprised I haven't seen that clip, but I will say like I don't know Jack Murphy at all, but I know
Yeah,
Sydney Watson, absolutely lovely. And if you watch
amazing.
any of that show, you know that Sydney doesn't know a lot of like different like Elijah. They're running a show, and it's a clever show. And part of
Yeah,
the super chat reading is if Elijah thinks Sydney doesn't know something, he'll have her read it for like genuine attention.
yeah.
So like they're not trying to like hurt you. Like, maybe the person super chatting was trying to get under his skin, but like
It was.
Sydney and Elijah aren't trying to do that.
That's the crazy thing. It's like all he did was ask, "Hey, can you explain this cuck article you wrote?" And it was like, and he was like, "How dare you? You're really gonna do this to me?" I mean, the quartering. I don't know. Do you know Jeremy from the
Yeah.
quartering? He did a. I mean, he snapped and has made videos, and so you could go to his Twitter if you really want to see this video. The clip.
I'm very defensive over people that like I've gotten to know like
Yeah,
out. I'm
dude,
I'm very
Sydney
much
is such a sweetheart,
yeah.
man. And when you see this, you're gonna be like, "Wow, f this guy, dude. Who's supposed to be? He's supposed to be this alpha. He runs a freaking business where he teaches men how to like be men. It's like that was the weakest I've ever seen, man. Like,
Yeah.
dude, it's embarrassing.
Much,
So
much love to Sydney Watson. Check out her channel, by the way, and check out You Are Here on.
absolutely, they're probably live right now. Actually,
I'll go check
um,
them out now.
don't check them out. Wait till the show's over and then go check them out. Robert Shaw says, "Y'all get angry." y'all get angry, jump up and smack that like button. There we go. Smash that like button. You know what? Why don't you go ahead and say it? Let me hear it.
I got to do it. We're almost at 900 likes, people. You got to hit that like button, smash the like button. We need to get that engagement up. We talked to our engagement coordinator, and you guys need to get active in the chat. I'm a like button hyper.
There it is. We talked to our coordinator, and they said definitely smash that like button. The hippie conservative says, love the show. You're the man. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, hippie. I appreciate that. I like that name. The hippie conservative. It almost doesn't make sense. Mr. Knox says, continue. Oh, wait, did it? Okay, you were just continuing. He says, continuing, these people can't use my racism, my oppression. If stores close up for good, it's the consequences for allowing scum to fester. Right. People don't want to think, they don't want to see the actual statistics. They don't want to be faced with actual accountability. They just want to pass the buck along. Like, oh, you know what? It's this person's fault. That's why I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. So you gotta do things for me. You gotta give me more money. You gotta support me because I'm the victim. Blah 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 blah. So over that.
They're very obsessed with redlining, and every negative consequence they talk about with redlining is truer and more reflective of an environment that allows criminality and allows things like riots. Like
Yeah.
that actually damages the long-term error, like the long-term economic viability of these areas. Like the LA riots took 10 years to get back to where they were.
Yeah.
Like post and everywhere else already moved on from that point. Like it is a serious, like this is a serious issue, and it holds these communities back.
What about mostly peaceful protesting? Is that all right?
Well, I mean, as long as it's mostly peaceful, it's
Right, right. Mostly. Robert Shaw says, I know who AJW is. I've seen him before. Oh, okay. So he is calling you cringe, I guess. That's what
fair.
I'm calling you out now, Robert Shaw, for calling him cringe and letting you know he's actually calling you cringe. Ryan says, pardon me. They say the broken window study was poorly done and was set up. I don't know if it's true, but I think it says that people shouldn't live in cities. I couldn't be more grateful that I have a house out in the countryside. I'm on a river. I'm going to have a huge garden. I'm going to try my hardest to be to not have to buy food. I would love to turn it into a little homestead. That would be amazing because I don't want to be dependent on anyone. I have a well. I have a very strong river that never freezes, so I can set up hydropower, and I'm looking into that. I've done lots of research actually on hydropower. So like living in cities, which I've also done. I said I've lived in New York 12 years. It's you are fully dependent on the system. You can't grow your own food. It's impossible. And you know, being fully dependent is almost like anti-American, you know, like being American is about being dependent. It's about finding your own way and making moves so that you aren't dependent on anyone else and that you thrive doing what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So
I would say the broke and any program in law enforcement is hard to study, and what happens is they get replicated under the same name in other places, but different people manage them. They operate differently. That's one of the things I was referencing with the subway jumpers,
mhm.
because like that's a specific crime tied to New York, and in Chicago they have broken windows, but what's the equivalent crime there? Like
Yeah.
nobody can tell me.
Have you ever gotten a ticket for turnstile jumping?
I know. I paid for the subway.
Okay.
One time I got on the Long Island Railroad when I was a kid, and I didn't know that that was different from the subway,
Uh-huh.
and I got off before the ticket man came at me.
Right on, right on. Thanks for not asking me the same question. Robert Shaw says, sure, Sean and I came up with the Bible. Sure, sure, sure. Okay, random. Canna Claus with a $10 super chat says, you think you're better than me, Sean? I'm fighting words over here. I don't know what
Much
this is.
better.
I don't know what
So,
this is about, but all
it
right.
might be an Anna Kasparian reference. Where
Maybe.
she's like, "Yeah, I'm better than you. Much better. You are garbage. You're garbage."
Does she say that? Is that
Oh
her
yeah,
attitude?
very very
Oh,
famous meltdown from her over Harambe memes.
seriously? Dude, I'll be honest. I don't watch the Young Turks. I don't watch them. In fact, I don't watch a lot of other people's content because I don't want to be influenced. I like coming up with my own viewpoints on things. You know, you hear somebody else's input, you know, like kind of like, you know, gives you, it might
I
shift your perspective, you know?
I totally agree with you. If I have like friends on the internet and like probably Atheism is Unstoppable, Devin Tracy, he
Okay.
covers the Young Turks and very similar topics. And I actually like watching his stuff, but
Yeah.
like I can't watch his video before I make my video
Right.
because I'll end up like I don't script. So it ends up in the back of my head and then I don't
Yep.
want to, you know,
Exactly.
plagiarize and all that. So, you
I
know.
do try to pop in and say hi whenever I see anyone live or premiering a video like you know, saw you
I
earlier.
saw you today.
Definitely sharing the support, you know. Spencer with a $20 super chat says, Actual Justice Warrior, when are you going to leave the NYC hellhole or do you just enjoy being governed harder?
But look, my girlfriend has a job in commercial real estate, and I absolutely love her. And if she's tied here, then it is what it is. If she's ready to go, and we were to get married, as I'm hoping we will in the future,
Mhm.
then that changes the math. But like I can work from anywhere, she can't.
Yep. I love making my wife happy. It's honestly it might be the highest on my priority list. I love myself. I am happy. So, you know, I'm taken care of and, you know, I I totally get that. Definitely get that. Julian with a $20 super chat says, "Have you guys seen the Spike Lee film Do the Right Thing? It's a surprisingly fair look at racial tension, and you'd be wise to give a breakdown, Sean. It's amazing how people have interpreted the film." I have not seen it. Have you seen it?
I have seen it actually. I saw it as a kid, and I saw it in a New York City in film class.
Do you think that's a accurate statement though, that it's a fair look at racial tension?
Um, I think it's a good movie. Like I
Okay.
I I would have to rewatch it. I don't typically agree with Spike Lee's politics, so
Okay. My mom's in chat. She just said, "Love Do the Right Thing." All right, cool. My
it is a
mom
good movie though. Like
uh,
by the way, you can have good movies with messages you might not agree with fully or even at all.
I agree. I agree with that. Sean Jack says Cascadia subduction zone in the move day, a 6.3 right now. The fault. For context, Arizona preparing for West Coast refugees on foot for years now. Uh, really, a 6.3. That's that's pretty high, isn't it? On the
Yeah,
scale for earthquakes? Like
it
that's crazy.
seems like I
Um
would have got a news alert about that.
right, right. I don't know anything about that, Shenjak. That just happened, huh? I mean I have friends in LA. I'm going to reach out to them after the show.
For sure.
Robert Shaw says, "Is the fly wearing a beanie?" Sorry, I'll go now. I don't know. He's moving too fast. I can't get a hold of him. Um, Deline was here. Political consistency is for the consistent. I'm I'm effing better than you, Sean. Okay,
Oh
that
yeah,
was
that is definitely Anna Kasparian.
yeah. Okay. Robert Shaw says Adam churns his own butter as well. Maybe one day. Actually, funny enough, I was talking
Adam
about
doesn't
homes.
eat, Adam doesn't eat butter. Actually, I know that.
Well, there's vegan butter, but that's
I
fine.
I understand. I pay attention to things.
Robert Shaw says, "Is Sean on Grinder asking for a friend?" Oh my gosh. No, he's just talking about his girlfriend, dude. Come on. Uh,
I am a straight. I'm sorry for you guys out there.
are you even allowed to say that? Like, I am a straight white male. Oh my gosh. You're the enemy. You're the oppressor.
I feel like if you just make up your own terms, you can get away with things like talking about the like trans community in any way that isn't like glorious. Which rather I
Yeah,
have no issue with them except for like for what issues where their transness comes into conflict with like women's sports or
agreed.
similar.
Or
So
pushing it on children. Sorry, I have a
yeah,
huge issue with that.
for sure.
Um,
But
yeah.
like I just call them like the transes because nobody calls them the transes, and like I haven't seemed to have any problems from YouTube or anything like that.
All right. All right. Let's see. Rob Shaw again says, "I have a skeleton in the lounge room. child loves it. Okay. His child's like 1, by the way.
Oh.
Maybe a little over now, I guess, right? Jesse says, hey, Sean, our AJW, will you make a video on Hassan and Vaush's Twitch exile? I love your work. Please keep up the good work.
Oh, I actually already did. It was out a couple days ago.
He already did, so you can check it out. And all I have to say is, that's all I have to say.
And also, like, stop including Vosh in it because Vosh literally got banned because Hassan was trending.
That's
Like,
it.
he did it intentionally after Hassan got banned, so he could
Oh,
get banned and be in all the headlines. Don't feed into that.
okay. So Grifton, yeah, Grifter's gonna grift. Let's see. Robert Shaw says, at least Jack didn't take his belt off. Okay, that would have been a little
Mhm.
extreme. I think he stormed off the show too.
Oh,
Yeah, like fifth,
I'm gonna watch the hell out of that video right after
dude.
this.
It's yeah, you got to see it. Robert Shaw continues says, uh, Jake should have said, "I'm not that guy." Or, all right, Jack, I guess you mean Jack should have said, "I'm not that guy." It works. Obviously, referring to what happened with the Tim Cass show the day before.
I did see that, and that's like the great. I know you have your past and all that, but that's like the great miscommunication because I'm not that guy. Is like I'm not your bitch. Like if you're gonna like if you keep talking
Exactly.
stuff to me. So when Timothy replies, you are that guy. He's still in the conversation. Like he's like, no, you did say that, and it's like
Yeah.
no. Like he's talking about your tone. And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm not the guy you do that to. So when you say you are that guy, you're like, oh no, you are literally my bitch. And then
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, that's what you expect. You bring hood people on. Like this guy was
Yeah.
shouted out in like the first, like one of the first Wu Tang albums. One of my friends told me, like you
Okay.
bring hood people on, you're gonna get hood responses.
And you know what? I'll be honest, dude. Tim was swearing at him. He was elevating his voice, talking down to him. I know from a personal experience how that feels like. And I'll just say, it didn't just happen on the show. All right. We lived together for a year and it was a thing. But
They,
I just wish RA didn't lose his cool because if he didn't, Tim would have just been the asshole and that's it. And people would have been like, wow, what an asshole. But
Ari did really beat up that microphone though. Like he took it to it.
I saw that.
Proper.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, he shouldn't have done that, and he was pretty much an asshole for doing that too.
He made
Um,
up. He did apologize and all that. Like people didn't see that full. Somebody posted it on YouTube because I'm not a member.
yeah,
Because I think that was during the members portion. They did actually make up, and he apologized for that.
yeah, which is good. I saw that apology. I'm like, respect. He was apologizing for blowing up, which was the only thing he needed to apologize for, right? Because I mean, and dude, and Lydia chimed in just right before he blew up too, which turned it from him arguing with Tim to him having people ganging up on him, which she should have shut her mouth and not said a word and let them hash it out while they were doing it. Well, you are that guy. It's like, dude, Lydia, come on. You did not need to freaking add that in there. Like, shut up. So stupid, man. That whole engagement was just so frustrating. And almost gave me PTSD. Anyway,
You're not
uh,
that guy, is what you're saying.
I am not that guy, dude. Yeah, I mean, anyway, yeah. We all know what happened there when Tim found that out. Goodness sakes, I've said too much. Oh my gosh. Rob Shaw says, Adam, your show is the only one with good guests. I get some good guests on. Thank you very much, Robert Shaw. I agree. And what a fantastic guest. Thank you for coming on, Sean. I've had a really good time tonight.
Appreciate it.
Let's see here. Here we go. He says again, Robert Shaw. It gets up to over 110 degrees Fahrenheit here. God help the 18-year-old. 110. Wow, that's hot. 93. That's nothing, man. I mean, is it humid though? Is it really humid? Because that 93 and like high humidity, that's heavy. I'm not and I don't want to like fat shame or body shame anyone, but like if you're really heavy too, it could be even more so. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out why this person needed to go home. Maybe they had a legitimate reason. Maybe they really couldn't handle it. So I don't, make fun of him, but 18-year-old, 93 degrees. Come on, do some work. Julian with a $20 super chat says, highly suggest the prescient Alex Jones documentary Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement. Also, have either of you been reconsidering Christianity in the light of uncanny parallels between biblical prophecy and present day? You want to go first?
I have seen Endgame. I've seen the Obama deception. I've seen Fall of the Republic. I've seen all. I wasn't joking when I know my Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
as far as Christianity, I'm not religious. I'm not converting. I actually have a joke when I go visit people at the Blaze because people at the Blaze are. I have a theory that if you work for the Blaze, you have to convert. So every time I know somebody's an atheist there, I'm like,
Sydney proves that wrong. So
yeah.
sorry.
Well, that's who that's one of the people that I bug. I'm like, did you convert yet? Did you convert?
That's funny.
But
Yeah, that's funny.
look, there's a lot of post diction, so people look at writings from the past that are vague. This happens a lot with Nostradamus,
Yeah.
and they'll say after the fact, like when you predict something that's coming in the future, and then are able to alter that, then I'm on board. But when you're pointing to a vague passage and saying this kind of applies after the fact, nah.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Just to answer that question, I feel like that this is a whole nother segment that we could talk about for a while. But and I have not seen that documentary. I should. Where can I see it?
I know they were on YouTube back in the day, but I'm sure Alex lets
Not
those,
anymore.
yeah, Alex lets those up for free. I know he sells DVDs. I'm sure,
Okay.
but I'm sure you can find them if you go the or start page, whatever.
Yeah, maybe I can get a hold of him. Sticky Ikariki says TP fired him because he's too handsome. I mean, everyone's got their own thought of why I was fired from that show.
I literally super chatted you that when you were on the show the day after me.
Really?
Yeah, that was in my message in the day after.
You super chatted Tim?
No,
on that?
when you were on You Are Here.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
It was the day after, and I was like,
right.
I had like Wi-Fi on the plane. I was like, I would super chat that as I was landing. So I was watching them read that. So maybe
that's hilarious.
Back to that.
Maybe. Sean Jack with a $10 super chat says, it's out in the ocean. Cascadia subduction zone is a giant fault being watched by geologists for the big one for a long time, so media won't cover it. A cluster peaking at 6.3 today is significant, though. Okay. I mean, that could cause a tsunami, though, couldn't it? I mean, if it's out in the ocean and a significant earthquake, I mean, that's how tsunamis form. That's how Fukushima that's why that tsunami was so terrible.
For sure. And by the way, that earthquake did happen. Northern California was hit.
Oh, okay. All right. Today.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
While we were on the thing, like within the hour.
Wow. Okay. So, well, I hope, man, anyone who was on the coast, I hope you guys were all right over there. Julian says, yes, Spike Lee is politically off base, and I actually attest the supposed race in the end, Sal, the pizza owner, is actually the hero of the film. I guess I'll have to see it. I don't know it. Let's do the right thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Derna says RA is from Setauket. I don't know what that Setauket. Is that how you say it? I think he might be that guy. No, he is clear. Look, RA is clearly no one's bitch. Right? He made it very clear. And you're right. That's what he was talking about. But Tim was like trying to tell him, well, you're racist, which, hey, maybe he was racist. I didn't watch the whole episode. I'll be honest. I don't watch Timcast. I don't watch anything from that publication source. And I just can't anymore. You guys don't know what I know. And I just don't. So I watched a lot of the clip. I wanted more context because it was going viral. Everyone was talking about it. I was like, there's no way this dude just blew up just because. And Tim was trying to call him a racist, and he was like, you're treating me like I'm some little person that you could stomp on. Like, nah.
I saw a bit more context around it. Like I got sent the clips. Like that's what happens. Something goes on. People drop them in my Discord and @reply me and then message me.
Yeah.
but somebody had like a good 20 minutes of it that showed like some of the before and after.
Okay.
And yeah, they were arguing, but it is totally a miscommunication from somebody who's like not like basically not street versus somebody who is street, because
Yeah.
what he was mad at was literally like the tone of the
Yeah.
voice, like more than
Trust
the
me.
issue.
Trust me, I know that tone, and I cannot stand it. All right, and I mean, people know there's a reason why we had such a good dynamic, because I didn't let it get to me. I was just always like, ha, 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 get out of here with that tone. I don't care. You have no control over me. I'm not that guy. Having fun now. Steven Steele says, if America doesn't severely restrict third world immigration, will anything else even matter? Also, can Trump win in 2024 without Twitter? Will Trump, the what is it? Truth something. Truth Network, the Truth Network, is that it? Trump's working on his own Twitter. Basically, they just signed a deal with Rumble to be the video support for their platform. I haven't seen it yet, but
I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
he
I think
his
I think he could win.
his name is so big that like he could clearly win. And you have to remember, once you get the nomination, which
Hmm.
he's already the favorite,
Yeah,
there's so much free media, even if it's negative media. Like you don't even need a big money advantage or a huge social media presence. Like it's his supporters that
yeah,
really elevated him on social media more than his campaign.
yeah. That's true. Um, and then the immigration thing. I'm all for legal immigration. I this country is built with legal immigration. We have the most diverse country on the planet, probably, right? I mean, I couldn't think of any other country that's more diverse than America.
Uh,
And
maybe, yeah.
you got, can you think of anything? I mean, I think so. I think we are. And it's because of legal immigration and maybe illegal immigration, sure. But I mean, it wasn't easy to allow my Swedish wife to live with me. We went through it was a long process to legally allow her to live here, and it was actually kind of expensive as well. And I went through the process, and it's like these people are just walking across the border and being flown to different locations, and it's pretty insane. And
Yeah.
who's paying for that? We are.
I think the people who live in a nation should be allowed to construct their own immigration policy, decide who comes in, who goes out. I think that should be a standard. It's not racist or anything like that. And
Yeah.
as for third world immigration, that's kind of too broad. Like I
Right.
want people from third world countries that are under communism, because those people
Yeah.
that come over here, they become among the best Americans because they
It's
buy
true.
into the system more than regular citizens.
And they love it here. They
Yeah.
love America because they want to work, they earn it, and then they become successful. And then suddenly they're like, this is amazing. This is what I thought it was like. And no one's holding me down. I'm making it, I'm working hard and earning it, because that's what it takes to be successful. That's
we,
it.
we should we should be yanking people from Hong Kong. Like all their wealth is like human capital, and
Yeah.
they would just be wasted under the communist Chinese.
Hmm. It's not a bad idea. Robert Shaw says he has installation surplus. How did you know? I don't even know what you were referring to there. Derna says, if you're pretending to be from the hood, but you're from a tiny upper middle class town on Long Island, you're not tough. Just own where you're from. Is that? I don't know anything about this RA
Um,
guy. I
I,
don't know. Look,
I
guys.
yeah,
Look,
I've heard this. Yeah,
have
yeah,
you? Okay.
but
I don't know anything about him. This is what I do know, right? Dude is being racist. Okay, fine. If he is racist, oh, all right. People are going to be racist on this planet, right? The best thing that we can do is call them out on it. And if I had someone who was on my show that I didn't know was a racist, but started saying some racist things, I would call them out on it. In fact, I have heard racist things in my life, and guess what I did? I called them out immediately. I said that is racist. Like, how dare you? Who are you to like have such a terrible take? And ridiculed them. And that's what I would do. I didn't yell. I didn't. swear at them. I didn't blow up because guess what? It wasn't just RA that blew up. It's not.
Yeah.
All right. I've been. I'm not
And,
going to put me into this, but
you can be technically born in like a small town and like I was born in San Antonio, but I've lived in New York since I've been 7. Like I'm basically a New Yorker.
yeah,
Like, so
yeah. Well, I didn't really. I didn't do any segments on it. I didn't really even want to talk about it because I honestly I feel like there's this huge group of people out that anytime I even mention Tim Pool's name, um they get triggered. If because if I am critical of Tim, they're like, "Oh, well, he gave you your platform." I'm like, "Am I not allowed to criticize someone on am I not allowed to criticize Tim anymore?" Because I do owe a lot to him. I talked about it for so long, like how much I owed Tim for giving me a platform. I mean, I owe a lot of my subscribers to being on that show. I practically he catapulted me onto the scene, and I'm grateful for that. But then, okay, so am I not allowed to criticize him ever again? It's frustrating because guess what? No one's above criticism. Nobody. All right. No one's on some platform that I need to just worship. No, I criticize him every day and people were okay with it. And then I got fired and suddenly I'm not allowed to criticize Tim anymore. Like, no,
listen, I'm gonna say like I got a chance to talk to Adam before we did Slightly Offensive, and like the idea that like, oh, he needs to be grateful and all this stuff, he is like,
Yeah. Thank you.
like he talked like off air, and I'm sure he said it on air. He'll tell you he loved the dynamic of the show, like on air, and like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that he enjoyed and all that. But if he wanted to, like Adam does his own show, he's good at it. He has a community that's like one of the least like toxic communities on the internet, which is kind of like amazing. Again, I literally was trying to start trash talking in your chat. It did not work.
Yeah.
And he could, whenever you leave like somebody who's like notable's organization, you can make all your content about hating on that person. He's chosen not to do that. And like if he has moments where he wants to make criticisms, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with like don't push your guests to the point where they get angry and want to fight you. That's like a criticism.
It's a good point.
Like
yeah.
That's not him just like trying to glom onto the attention or whatever. Like he should be able to talk about what he wants to talk about. He's being way more respectful. Like I know people in content space that would the slightest slight that didn't even exist, they would be making 27 videos about it. Like they were talking about somebody like that on Thursday.
Oh man, if people only knew what I know.
Yeah, Adam's not that guy.
Robert Shaw says dunking wealthy and famous people is a good time. Oh, you know what? Thank you for that, Sean. That was very nice of you. I don't want to move past that real quick. Thank you. That's very nice of you to say that.
You know what? It is, but it's true. And like you notice like character moments when people are off camera.
Yeah.
And like without saying anything that you said privately, I will say like this isn't like a jilted lover situation. So everybody calm down.
Yeah. Thank you. Junebug says, forget Tim. He that guy. Maybe he is. Mr. Knox says, I feel bad for New Yorkers with de Blasio's heavy-handedness with dealing with the coof and the people who are subservient to the rules. Scary stuff. I agree 100%. Julian says, true. What's up?
1 month and he's gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I believe it, dude. I honestly, I know a lot of people in New York. Nobody I know likes him.
No, he's gone. The next guy's coming in January. He's already. Oh, Eric Adams already won the election in November.
Do you like the guy?
He's the best of the Democrats.
Okay, that's not saying much.
He's a former cop, and he ran in the Democratic primary. #1 issue: getting a hold of crime.
Good. All right. And as we talked about tonight, that's a pretty important issue. Julian says, truly believe Poole means well and is in fact a hero. All right, you believe what you want. That's fine. And that is our show. Sean, thank you for joining me. Definitely, everybody, please go give him a follow. Down below is his Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube channel. Definitely check out his takes. He's very, very, very knowledgeable and brings all the receipts with him. And yeah, and after a couple shows, he starts making jokes about the same subjects, I guess. But yeah, thank you, Sean, for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me. I had a wonderful time, and thank you, by the way, for following up when I couldn't make other times and dates. So I
Oh
appreciate it.
yeah, yeah, of course, of course. We got one more from Junebug. Says, Adam, can you bring ABBA and Preach on the show? Don't know who they are, but my chat has brought me to meet Flawdzilla, who's awesome. So thank you, chat, for that. Lojane again says Tim is a self-righteousness problem. Oh, has a self-righteousness problem and treats his friends bad. No comment, but that is my show. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow here on the Crigler Show. I will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.